Hi, everybody. Happy New Year's. Glad to see everybody here today. Let's start off with the prayer.
Are we standing?
God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to be the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Clear, if you'd like to do roll call.
Ms. Zorb,
Here.
Ms. Gaston,
Here.
Ms. Alexander,
Here.
Ms. Curitan,
Here.
Ms. Clear,
Here.
Mr. Davis, Ms. Chichester.
Here.
Okay, everybody has an agenda in front of them for today. Do we have a motion regarding the agenda?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Pardon.
President,
Yeah,
sorry.
I was going to say, she can. You go ahead.
Do we need to excuse Mr. Davis or?
The only reason I was not going to is because he did say he was coming, and he was just running just a tad bit late. He didn't say he was going to miss.
Probably need to mention what you just said.
Okay, so Mr. Davis did mention that he is running late, but he will be here.
And you will,
I'm hoping in a timely manner.
Mm.
So,
and you will allow him to attend once he arrives?
Right. Yes.
I'm sorry?
You will allow him to attend once he
Yes.
arrives?
He'll be allowed to attend once he arrives. All right. Do we have a motion in regards to the agenda?
Madam President,
Yes.
I'll make
Ms.
a
Orr.
motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I second.
Madam Chair, sorry.
Yes.
There's one error on the agenda we need to fix first.
Okay. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we amend the agenda, OKI at the bottom, and the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Region Council of Governments are the same thing, so can we remove the one at the bottom?
Madam President?
Ms. Clear?
Is that on the
No.
agenda itself? Because the agenda itself,
It's on the paper that was in addition to the agenda that was giving more detail. It should be in your packet.
yes, but that's not the actual agenda.
It's
Correct.
in my, Madam Chair. Yep, go ahead. This is all I have.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to amend the agenda, but Ms. Clear did state that it is not actually on the agenda. It was a supplemental documentation to the agenda. So we'll take that in consideration when we're going through the itemized as we're appointing people, but I don't think it needs an amendment since it is actually not part of the agenda.
Does she want to rescind?
I'm sorry?
You want to
Does she
rescind?
want
You want to
I'll
rescind?
rescind, absolutely.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Zorb and a second from Ms. Gaston's. Roll call?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 6-0.
Okay, so now we're going to start the organizational session of the meeting. In front of everyone in your packets, you should have a copy of the Rules of Council. And what the game plan was today, which might be a hefty game plan, but I had big plans on getting this done, is we are going to go through this very quickly because there are certain things that maybe are fine and there are certain things that maybe need to be adjusted or removed or added. So what I was thinking we could do was we could go through each piece and we were just going to start with, like, say 1.28, the first one, and just say committee of the whole. And then if somebody says, hey, I don't think we need to do anything with this, as long as the majority of everybody here believes that there's nothing that needs to be done with it, we could skip over and go to the next one. But the only way we're going to get this done before midnight tonight is to make sure we limit our debate on these items, get it done, and move on. Okay? So what I was planning on doing is I'll read the first part. If, everybody says, hey, let's go delve deep and change something in here, then we'll take a moment and we'll have Ms. Clear, our clerk, she's going to take care of our corrections as we're doing them. And then at the end, we'll make a motion to accept the rules of council. But we want to give it its due and make sure everybody has input. Could?
Yes.
Understood.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to start with 1.28. Actually, no, I apologize. I have a two-sided paper. We're going to start with 1.1, adoption of rules. Can I move on to the next one, or do we want to?
Madam President, we need to change the date. I'm sorry, Madam
Yes.
President.
Yes.
Can we update the date currently says 2018 to 2019. Can we change that to 2026, 2027?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, Madam President.
Yes.
To back us up a little bit further, we'll need to change the front page also to update the dates.
Excellent. Anyone else have an issue with 1.1? All right, moving on to 1.2, definitions as used in these rules of council. 1.21, notice of regular meeting. Do we have anybody who would like to add anything?
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Orb.
sorry, I did go through these. I've written all over them, so you'll
Yes,
hear a lot
please.
from me today, so
That's fine.
I apologize.
You can talk anyone can chime in whenever they want. This is a working session. I want everybody to be heard, so go ahead.
Thank you. So I would like to recommend that not only are the notices in the designated places, can we also have it on the city's official Facebook page, in addition to the city's website? And I say that because not everyone looks at the city's website, but I feel like the Facebook page might get more traction, and then if people see it on the Facebook page, they might even share it to other unofficial pages, and it would get more notice, more announcements kind of thing,
Okay.
more visibility.
Madam President, do
It's
we
clear.
want to specify Facebook by brand, or should we say official social media pages?
I like that.
I like that as well.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston.
Ms. Clear, can you say that again? I didn't catch it.
Rather than specifying Facebook by brand,
Mm-hmm.
just say the official social media channels.
Thank you.
That way we don't have to reinvent the
Yeah.
wheel if something else comes out that people like to use.
Yeah, I appreciate the,
Yes, me too.
Also, just to kind of follow the bouncing ball, that probably would need to be also added to 1.22.
Yes.
Because it also states being posted in the designated places.
Yes. I like that.
Are we, everybody okay with those changes?
Um,
Oh, I
Sorry,
apologize. Ms.
Madam
Claire,
President.
or Ms.
So,
Orb.
since you moved on to 122, where it says notice of special meeting, can we put a clearer definition around that and say, like, any non-regularly scheduled meeting?
So instead of special meeting, you're saying notice of any non,
So here's what I had in mind. The notice of special meeting is in quotes. After that, I would put, what do you call it, parenthesis, there's some other
Parentheses.
fancy word to say that, and I forget what it is. And I would just put like any non-regular scheduled meeting. You see what?
okay? Anything else additional for 121 and 122? Okay, moving on to 123 is presiding officer refer to 5152, which just kind of explains what the president of council is. So I think we're good with leaving that. 124, special meetings of council. Are we good with 124, or do we want to make any changes?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I do have a change where it states that upon 12-hour written notice, can we change that to 24-hour notice? And as you referred to it as a bouncing ball, I would like that in the 1.2.5 as well, where it says 12 hours, to change both of these to 24 hours.
Excellent.
Madam President,
Yes.
I think we should keep the 12-hour written notice because it limits the city if we make it 24 hours. Say, for instance, if we have council on Monday, but there's some official business that needs to be taken care of the next day, and we only have that 12-hour notice to call the special meeting in order to take care of city business. I think it would really limit our city not being able to have that 12-hour window in front.
Well, upon looking at this, I don't know if you have a copy of the charter with you, but
Yes.
that actually goes in, the 12 hours needs to be in conjunction with the charter, and the charter says 24.
Correct.
So I agree that it needs to be 24. I feel like 24 hours notice is plenty enough time to post a special meeting notice.
Okay.
All right. Any other issues with 1.24 and 1.25?
Madam President?
Ms. Orb?
So, yes, and I want to back up to the whole 12 versus 24. For me, if, I just want to put that into like logical terms. If I would go to work in the morning and I have to drive in, I'm leaving by 5:30, 6 in the morning. That would mean I would have a posting potentially at my door at 6 o'clock, and I wouldn't even see it until I got home from work, which means I would only get like 1 hour notice. So that's the other, in my mind, the other motivation for the 24 hours. So yes, I agree with the 24 hours. But the other bouncing ball is the special meetings of council. I'd like to add the any non-regularly scheduled meeting to that in parenthesis after that one also.
So basically what it says above on 122.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
are we doing that same quotation for a special meeting of the committee
Yes.
and council? So 124 and 125, anywhere it says special
catch.
meeting of the committee,
Madam President,
put that quotation of non-scheduled.
Good catch. Ms. Nichols?
Can you, can council clarify what that committee is? I'm asking Ms. Gaston.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
to my knowledge, any non-regular scheduled meetings, so for example, if there is an ad hoc committee, which we do have, and it needs to be scheduled, that would be 24 hours.
So, not until, Madam President,
Mayor Nichols?
not until this last ad hoc was created. Ad hocs typically report, not necessarily always to council. So ad hocs don't always fall within the privy of council. So you can have an ad hoc. I'll use, for example, the fire department. They had an ad hoc that did not report to council. So I just wanted to clarify, are we pertaining to ad hocs that report to council?
Ms. Nichols?
Because not all of them.
So, Ms. Nichols, so I get what you're saying, that there's ad hocs for many different things in the city. Like, there's an ad hoc committee that could be done by the fire department. There's an ad hoc.
The mayor can have an ad
Yeah, that's
hoc.
what I'm saying. There's an ad hoc that you could do. We're talking about ones that are.
That's what I wanted clarity on.
Oh,
If
yeah.
it was the
It's
ones
ad
that
hocs.
reports to council.
Yes,
or
these
that
are
council
ad hocs.
creates.
These are ad
Okay.
hoc this is ad hoc committees that are
That report to
created by
council.
council
Right.
and their committees. We're not saying that the fire department, if they're having an ad hoc,
I
would
just
have
used them
to,
as an
because these
example.
are, and I'm also going along with your example.
Okay.
But these are rules of council, and we're not trying to dictate what other departments do and whatever, you know.
I understand that. That's
We're
why I
just trying,
asked.
we're just stating that for our
Okay.
capabilities within
Understood.
our wheelhouse, that's what's going to be.
That's
So-
why I asked for clarity, if you were just referring to council, the ad
Oh, yeah.
hocs that
We're just
report.
referring to ourselves.
Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
I'd like to recognize that Mr. Davis is here. Can we welcome him in?
Mr. Davis, come join us. You snuck in. I didn't see you out of the corner of my eye.
Your purses have more of a network than I do.
I was just trying to give you room. It's kind of big.
Mr. Davis, welcome to our organizational meeting. So glad you joined us. So we're just going through real quick the rules of council. We are currently on 1.26. We're trying to quickly go through this, and what we're doing is just, I'm going to go through, read the title. If everybody's good with it, we're just going to move on to the next one. But we just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to read through these, and if something needs to be changed, everybody has a buy-in, or at least hears what's going on.
Okay.
So, okay, cool.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I just to clarify, before we move on from
Yeah.
1.2.5, it was my interpretation, again, it's council. So, for example, if City Community Development and Recreation regularly meets on this date and time, but they need to schedule a special meeting to further discuss something, that's what I believe that this would apply to, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it.
All right, is everybody fine with where we are so far? Okay, so we're going to move on to 1.6, which is just shall. I think that's kind of a given. So I'm moving on to 1.27. Disturbing a lawful meeting. Are we good with the definition on what it has there? Okay. So now we're on 1.28, which where I was inadvertently trying to skip to before. Committee of the Whole. Are we good with 1.28, or do we want to adjust?
Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
do we need to add the with 24-hour notice or anything to this one? Just to,
Yes, we do, because it should go along the same lines. Good catch.
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin?
I would like to recommend for 1.2.8 that we change the word from may to shall on the second line. The president of council, it currently reads, may refer the matter to the committee of the whole, but I would like for it, recommend that it's changed from may to shall.
Madam President.
Ms. Clear?
I just have a quick question about that. So occasionally, I'm thinking of a situation where we might just discuss something in new business and just discuss it right then. So if we change it to shall, matter or issues merit consideration by all standing committees or the entire council. The president of council, what we're proposing to change is that the president of council would then be required to refer the matter to committee of the whole. I'm not sure that we would want to do that as a matter of requirement every single time something would need to be addressed by the entire council, unless I'm misunderstanding what this is saying.
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin?
1.2.8 reads, Committee of the Whole when a particular matter of the issue merits consideration by all standing committees or the entire council. And I'm using the example of it being the entire council. I don't want that to just solely be at the disclosure or the discretion, rather, of the committee chair. I would like for our president of council to have the final say-so for that to come to the entire council if there is an issue in committee.
Is there any other discussion regarding this issue? Then I'm kind of the ilk to agree with Ms. Curtin, because I do agree that if it is something that needs to be brought to everybody, then it should be going to the committee of the whole. So I agree it should be to shall. All right, if there's nothing else with 1.28, we can move to 1.3, amendment and suspension of council rules. Any issues there? 1.4, procedure in absence of rule. 1.5, rules of courtesy and decorum. Any issues there?
Madam President.
Ms. Zorb?
Sorry, I'm reading my notes, trying to make sure I understand before you move on, so please forgive my
No,
delay.
we can back up a bit if we went too fast. If I hear a few seconds of silence, I'm just trying to move us along a bit.
And I get it, I'm sorry. So where it says, council recognizes the citizens makes significant personal sacrifices to attend a committee, the meeting.
Where
Council,
are you at?
Sorry, 1, 2, third paragraph. You with me?
Council recognizes as citizens, yes.
I was wondering if we could put like an asterisk to refer to section 7.1. Is it 7.1?
Yes. Yes.
Madam President.
Preston?
7.1 is order of business, and I believe I had here for that section where during the procedures that we welcome our guests there in 7.1. But we can get to that a little bit later.
I'm fine with right now putting refer to 7.1 because it does make sense and it kind of goes in conjunction with this section. Any other issues with this section?
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
so we're on 1.5, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so in the last paragraph where it talks about decorum, and I think that, since it also names the mayor as far as being decorum, I think it's only fair that we list everyone who might be at that table, administration. I don't think it's fair that you are singled out, mayor, only you have to be.
We have high expectations of you, Mayor Nichols.
of the mayor. So I think, mayor, administration, law director or whoever is at that table. I don't want to just,
So to clarify, are you meaning to say maybe mayor/administration or just administration?
mayor, administration, whoever is sitting at that seat, guests, the law director. I don't know how he falls
Yeah.
in that, but I think they
Yes,
should be
'cause-
added as well.
Yes, I agree. I'm just trying to figure out how to word that because we want to be inclusive to anyone who's sitting there, like say if Chief Cheney.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think, guests.
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin?
I recommend that we also agree with, I agree with Ms. Alexander. I recommend that we add verbiage to say mayor, administration, directors, managers, and guests of council, because all of those parties, this is our council meeting, and they would attend as guests of our meeting.
I have no problem with, being specific. I'm glad we are addressing that because, again, that is just picking on the mayor, so.
That's fine.
But usually you don't cause a ruckus over there, so,
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
if I could just clarify for the folks watching who don't have this in front of them, the sentence that we're looking at is during meetings of council, including during those times dedicated to public comment. And what we're proposing to amend is neither the mayor nor members nor department heads, invited guests, speakers, or members of however they just worded it, shall engage in lengthy side conversations. Such conversations shall occur outside council chambers. That is the section that we're amending at this time.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Madam
Also-
President, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I apologize. I'll get you next. So, the only thing I want to bring up is decorum, and I don't know if we could put this here. I'm fine with putting it elsewhere, but I wanted to bring up that council's decorum should be also decorum while we're out here, but also decorum while we're back in executive session. Even though the cameras are not on us back in executive session, we need to act with respect and to each other. So if we can add somewhere in here, acting with decorum in executive session, I would appreciate that.
Madam President,
Hold on one second, Ms. Curitin. Ms. Alexander, you had a,
I know this specifically says lengthy side conversations. Is there a way to include long, lengthy debates back and forth? Is that somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
yes, that's good to bring up, and let's pencil that in, bookmark that for where we can find it elsewhere.
Okay.
And if we don't have, if it isn't already here, we can add it.
Okay.
And if it needs to come back here, we'll do it.
Okay.
But just keep, write that down and we'll bring that back up.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston.
after Ms. Curitin, I would like to speak.
Ms. Curitin.
so the final paragraph on 1.5, I actually would like to recommend that we remove the word lengthy. That is very subjective. What I may consider long or lengthy may not be to the next person. I would like to request that we amend that word lengthy to necessary conversations, or excuse me, I actually recommend that it should read neither the mayor nor members nor administration, guests, directors, shall engage in side conversations unless it's necessary to answering a pertinent question in that moment. I do want to save space that if there is something that needs to be discussed in that moment, they can have that. But if it's not related to the matter at hand, there should not be actually any conversation on the side. So I think that word lengthy should be removed because it's very subjective. And I also want to recommend in the same paragraph, in reference to decorum, such conversations, the final sentence, such conversations shall occur outside council chambers. We probably want to add something that says that when we are here having our meetings, whether we are before our citizens and constituents or if we're in executive session, that the quorum should extend. The way that I think that should be worded is that the extension of the decorum, it doesn't matter whether you are in front of the cameras or if we're in executive session, to be honest, or even in the community. There should always be a high level of decorum.
Well, Ms. Gerton, when I'm reading this, I'm thinking what they're stating here is that they're stating, like, if you're talking about, hey, did you watch the Bengals game last night, blah, 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 that needs to be outside council chambers. I think that's what they're stating here, is that if you're stating something that is not city business or related to what's on hand, that just belongs outside. So, I mean, I don't believe that sentence is not going to work. I just think that we just got to keep it in context with the sentence before it.
Madam President.
1 second, Ms. Clear. Ms. Gaston?
Ms. Curitan actually said what I was going to say about the lengthy side conversations. It happens sometimes, but I agree with her that that word should be removed because it's subjective.
Right now, I'm going to check in with our clerk, Ms. Clear. How are you doing over there with all the changes? Are we good?
I'm keeping up. We're good.
Okay. All right. I also wanted to address on this section where it says council will dress professionally and present itself professionally to the public.
Madam President.
I think you still needed to go to Ms. Clear.
Oh, I
Sorry.
did. I apologize, Ms. Clear.
No worries.
All you gotta do is back me up.
Rather than lengthy, can we just say unrelated?
I like that.
Yep,
I like that.
That just kind of short and sweet.
I like that. Thank you.
Madam President.
Ms. Chichester.
Before we move on to sections, because we had so many changes, could we have it read what we landed on out?
Of course.
Thank you.
Ms. Clear?
From the start or just this topic?
Just this topic, because there was a lot of changes in this one section.
Okay, I have, and I think it's line 3, in addition to the mayor, where it says neither the mayor, we have administrator, directors, managers, guests, nor members shall engage in unrelated side conversations.
And then, Ms. Clear, you did add up in that the first actual paragraph where it says council recognizes citizens make significant, you were going to put refer to 7.1 section?
Yes, I do have that as well. Refer to section 1 or 7.1.
Okay. Ms. Chichester, is that okay?
Yes, I just wanted to be clear where
No,
we landed
I
and
want you
make sure
to.
everyone understood the changes.
Okay. Excellent. Anyone else before we move on? Okay, so I was wanting to address council will dress professionally and present itself professionally to the public. There's a term with professional, when I'm thinking business professional, I'm thinking like suits and jackets. That I feel like that's unrealistic in our date and time. I'm thinking like a business casual would be fine. I mean, nobody's dressing for a ball. I mean, I'm not going to come in my New Year's finery. I mean, I might, but it would be my choice if I wanted to come in a ball gown.
Madam President.
Madam President.
Ms. Gaston.
So council will dress professionally and present itself professionally to the public. I agree. I don't believe we need to come in a suit and tie or anything like that, but I did want to add maybe what is not considered professional to this section.
Okay.
Agreed.
Hold on. You want to finish what you were saying?
Yes. So, for example, if we are in our regular council meetings, no sweatshirts, no shirts with writing on it. Sorry. And she got both. Oops. And it's cute, too. I'm just saying. And, like, no hats. Like, I know ladies like to wear hats. I know it's wintertime, but things like that can be seen as unprofessional. So I wanted to add that verbiage in there as well.
Maybe you could call it no streetwear?
I like that.
Madam President.
No? I'm just trying to think. I'm sorry.
I think that two-part. One, dressing professionally can be considered business professional, or it can be suits and ties. That word professional, again, is subjective. I would recommend that we are as specific as possible and that this extends to not just council meetings, I believe that it should also extend to committee meetings as well. And so I would recommend that we would add, and this is not to suggest that we would be the authoritative figure for what each council member wears. However, it will push the professional dress that we desire to have. So I would recommend that we say no hats for men and women, no sweat attire for men and women, nothing that will be considered outdoor, going to the park. I'm sure there's a word for that.
That's what I was saying.
Outerwear,
Streetwear,
Athletic wear.
athletic
Athletic
wear.
wear.
I do, though, want to add one more clause here. I do want to leave space in the event there are times in which some of us might need to wear more comfortable shoes, gym shoes, so to speak, or if it's snowing and boots or what have you. So I do want to leave space for that particularly, but to also, you can still dress professionally and have your gym shoes or be neat as well.
Madam President.
I'm sorry. Ms. Chichester, did you state something? I apologize.
I was just going to add no jeans, no hoodies.
No jeans, I like that. Madam President.
Ms. Gaston?
To add to that, I also have no flip-flops. Anybody that knows me knows that's going to kill me in the summer, but no flip-flops. But then lastly, T-shirts with
Writing?
writing on it that is not related to the city of North College Hill. Or
Yes.
logos.
Yes, because Ms. Zorb, wasn't there council T-shirts at one point or council polos?
Yes.
Okay. So just, you're talking about T-shirts that might just say USA or,
Ohio
Susie
State.
Whittlesbox the best.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that would be fine. I mean, okay, I get it.
Yes, that's what I'm referring
Exception
to.
that one.
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin?
I think that might relate to thematic wear. It could be Juneteenth or Black History Month or Christmas or what have you. We're using that statement to say across the board, no matter what, nothing that is thematic that actually has a logo that represents or would suggest that that council member is supporting either of those.
Okay, hold on. My concern is you're saying I can't wear a reindeer sweatshirt at Christmas.
Madam President, I'm asking that question.
Yeah,
Right.
no, I'm clarifying, because if we start subdividing down to the nth degree here, that means we can't wear Christmas. We can't wear
Madam President,
Miss Gaston.
tops that have logos and writing. If I'm wearing a cute, ugly sweater, it has no writing or nothing, and the council agrees that that's what we're going to wear. I know sometimes in February we might do something to represent that month, but if it says something like, I don't know, Grand on it, established 2022, that's not appropriate for council. That's all I'm saying. But thematic wear for whatever holidays that we are here celebrating, we want to recognize, that's fine. But logos, UC, Miami, things like that, that's not specific to the city of North College Hill. That's what I'm referring to.
Madam President,
Madam President.
Ms. Chichester?
I think we're leaving this open to varied streams of interpretation. Because logo could be a designer brand. If I have a button-down shirt that has Ralph Lauren Polo in the small corner of that, now would that be legal or would that be illegal? It also could come down to, let's say, Valentine's Day. And we decided to celebrate and wear a T-shirt that says Valentine's Day. Now, are we going to get more specific and say graphic tees, and then maybe no holiday, no logo? Because we can't pick and choose which holidays to support and which
Exactly.
holidays not to support. We can't say no Juneteenth, but Valentine's is okay, or vice versa in that sense. So can we also, we're saying a lot of what's not defined. Can we also start listing things that are appropriate to definition? I love Ms. Alexander's sweater there today. So would that be appropriate for her? I mean, we love it, but can we say yes certain organizations and no to other organizations? Because we could support that sweater, but if I had the same sweater that represented something for our state of Ohio, how can we pick and choose which organizations to support without creating a bias?
I understand you completely, Ms. Chichester. Ms. Gaston, did you have a counter, or was it Ms. Zorb?
It was me.
Ms. Zorb, go ahead.
So I think we're getting way too much in the weeds in this.
I agree.
We're, in a minute, we're going to hear everybody has to wear green. So, sure, whatever. So I think kind of where we can put a bow on this is we can list a couple things that we say we weren't, that are not acceptable. And then for things like holidays, council in advance of the holiday, we can say, hey, there's going to be an exception to the clothing rule for Juneteenth, and you can wear Juneteenth, or you can wear July 4th. And we can do that in advance so that people can dress in advance.
So we could,
Madam President.
We can suspend the rule for the meeting on July the 4th. I don't know.
so basically what you're stating is we can put in there something like exceptions can be made at the preference of council in advance of the holiday. Ms. Chichester?
Okay.
I was just going to state, why can't we just put it in the rules with the exception of celebrating holidays? So that way we don't have to waste, or maybe if we do forget at a regular meeting to put that on the agenda. So that way it's in the rules and we don't have to spend time even discussing it or putting it on the agenda.
It's clear.
Madam Chair, after.
It's clear.
I think just the general idea is to promote the idea that these are business meetings, and the idea is to project professionalism and to avoid anything that would draw undue attention to someone individually or to a cause that potentially could be a distraction to the conduct of business. I think that's generally what we're trying to go for here.
Yes.
Getting into the weeds, I agree, but I was about to say the same thing that Ms. Zorb did. There's a procedure in place to suspend the rules. These are rules. We can suspend them if we want to for different purposes. If the Bengals make it to the Super Bowl again, or something like that, right? But we always have that capability of suspending these rules as a group if we feel like it would be fun or necessary to do so.
Thank you,
I don't
Ms.
think we need to
Claire.
box ourselves in too tightly on this.
Thank you, Ms.
I
Claire.
agree.
Mayor Nichols?
I was going to say what Ms. Clear said. I think so administration piggybacks off of council's rules as it pertains to dress. Now, business casual was not a thing that was here when I first started. It was always business professional. I think, my opinion, if I go to an attorney, I don't want to see him in sweatsuits. If I go to a doctor, I don't want to see the same. So I think when people view us, they view us that way. And I cannot take you serious if I come in here and you got on t-shirt, gym shoes, sweatpants.
Agreed.
Now, granted, they can't see below. Am I opposed to jeans? No, I'm not. But for years, we never wore jeans in this environment. It was always business casual. And I think if you want your citizens and the people that we deal with to take you as a professional, a business professional, that we should at least come dress business. Even up, to, right? So like today, meetings like today, Ms. Zorb can vouch, they were always dressed down, which is why she has on a hoodie and I have on jeans. You guys never see me wear my Uggs in here, even if it's snow outside. So if we just if we can say specifically what meetings are going to be down. All of you look nice today. You have on your, but in my mind, or because of over the years, we've worn jeans, whatever, on meetings like today. So I just think if we want to be presented a particular way, we should really consider the business, not necessarily the business casual. Now, I do like business casual, but I don't wear jeans to work, which is the day, only on Friday, and which is the day, Monday, we have our meetings. And if I wear a T-shirt on that Monday, I go home and change. Not just because, and I don't always wear North Calatiel T-shirts. So that's just my opinion. I just think for the perception and for what we want to do and how we want to be perceived as professionals, that we should be business professional.
Madam President.
1 second. Mayor Nichols, thank you so much for doing all that clarification. I wanted to do a bit of clarification myself. When I'm meaning business casual, I do not mean jeans. When I mean business casual, I'm meaning khakis, I'm meaning black pants, I'm meaning, a nice shirt, a nice sweater, you know what I'm saying? Like something like that. Oh, just dressing to at least a little up to, where you're not wearing your PJ pants and a pair of flip-flops in here. So, Ms. Cureton, and this will be the last discussion on this section. We have to move on.
Actually, there's no discussion. I was just going to make that same sentiment that we just kind of started talking about no jeans, no hoodies, no flip-flops, no T-shirts, and then we went around, a long path. So I think just to bring it back home, what are our exclusions for council to not wear? Although I know that we can suspend the rules, what do we want to put in writing section 1.5, final paragraph?
Miss President.
Ms. Clear.
So right now, just as what I have on here that I've heard is no streetwear, no sweat attire, no athletic wear, no outerwear, no visible writing, with the exception of writing relating to the city of North College Hill. No hats, no jeans, no hoodies. Appropriate footwear is acceptable, no flip-flops. And then exceptions to the rules related to attire may be made by vote of council.
If everybody's okay with that, I think we've well discussed this section. Let's
Madam
move
President.
on in lieu of staying here all night.
I heard something called outerwear, and I don't know what that is.
Like
Jackets.
coats, hats, jackets
Okay.
that aren't like formal jackets, like
All
if
right.
you're going out in the rain.
I'm sorry, I just didn't know what that meant.
Okay, so let's go to 2, public access. Meetings open to the public. 2.1. How are we feeling about that?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
may I back us up a little bit? On page 3, it says members shall hold themselves and each other accountable for complying with these standards. All electronic devices shall be silenced during the council and committee meetings. And I would like to add something there. I know we're going to have our laptops closed like they are now. We're not utilizing them. But I also want to say that not being visibly on your cell phone, I'm guilty of that. But if we really want to pay attention and hear what we are saying and the citizens are saying, I believe cell phones should be face down and put away. I am a mom, so I understand that emergencies do happen, but not visibly texting, whether it's under the table or on top of the table.
Madam President.
Madam President.
Ms. Chichester?
As the new age of technology, a lot of my notes are on my devices, especially when I am chairing a meeting. So there's presentation notes, there's verbiage and things that I use my notepad for. So it's not that I'm always texting. These are my notes for me, for council, that I take to prepare for my meetings. They're not always handwritten. Sometimes they're on my devices. And I understand what you're trying to say to appear visible, but sometimes when I'm looking at my notes to make sure, I'm making sure certain points are not missed or certain informations and stats are not missed. So I don't think in work sessions and sometimes in council that's always feasible, especially
let me ask you
at
a
other
question.
other councils around the city. Sorry.
I apologize for talking
No,
over
go
you, but,
right ahead.
let me ask you a question just for clarification's sake. So you're stating during council meetings, there's times where, are we talking cell phone or laptop?
it depends on whichever devices has the most juice that I use.
Okay.
So I can
let's-
use my laptop if
So
that
let's say
makes it easier.
laptop. So you have your
Absolutely.
laptop up.
Mm-hmm.
You're stating that would you have a problem with having the clamshell closed until you need it and then have it open?
Oh, that's usually not feasible. If you close your laptop and then you open it back up and you need it, you have to log back on. And there's times where I need to pull up certain data right then
Can
and
you
there.
move it off to the side to where it's not directly in front of you?
So I'm trying to understand, what's the goal? Not to have anything in front of me, and so that my laptop could be like this?
I think it's not just the fact of people seeing you like on your cell phone and not understand. It's a two-parter. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, Ms. Gaston, but I feel like it's almost a two-parter thing. Number
Absolutely.
one, it is I'm over here and I'm blah 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 blah, and people are going, "What's she doing? Is she playing charades?"
But then there could be notes I'm being made for.
And I understand that.
And not only that, I think Ms. Gaston's has done this before, where constituents who are watching may text questions and ask us to pose those questions because they're not able to be here in person. You know, sometimes our meetings are not aligned with other people, everyone else's schedule. So I don't want to be seemingly ignoring my constituents if I get a text.
And I don't think anyone's asking you to, but is there a way to be a little low key about it? Is it instead of being up here and doing this while somebody's
Absolutely.
talking, can it be down and you doing like, like doing this kind of jobby where you're like, okay.
And sometimes I might scribe notes for myself, or if someone comes to the podium, I might make a note that Mrs. Neighbor so-and-so came and asked about something. And I might put that in my notes to remind me myself to look into something later for her, or just those things. I utilize technology a lot, and I think that would really limit council, others that utilize technology as well. I understand what you're saying, limited, but agree with that, not
I think
having it up
it's-
front.
Yeah, I just think it's nose up into them because our people are here too.
Are we talking just doing when they're speaking at the podium, or are we talking throughout the whole meetings?
Madam President.
Madam President.
May I clarify?
Ms. Gaston, go ahead.
Okay. So, yes, we all use our electronic devices. Our laptops last 2 seconds. So sometimes you do have to jump somewhere else. But what I'm referring to is the continual text conversation. And we don't know who it's from, but from the audience, it can come off as disrespectful. And that goes for myself. That goes for everybody. I'm not targeting one specific person, but that was something that was brought to me by a citizen when they said, hey, we see the phones light up and you guys texting and things like that. That comes off unprofessional. So I am bringing it to council floor. I am a mother of small children, so I will need to have my phone out. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and text and be like, oh, you know what I mean? That's totally different. If someone sends an email or something and we're looking at it, that's one thing, but constantly on the phone, which we are all guilty of. Audience, we love our cell phones. I'm just specifying, could we put that in there? That is something from the community that has been brought to my attention.
Ms. Claire?
There's a couple of things that I wanted to add. I think, again, the goal is to present ourselves professionally. Electronic devices, I think, if we want to put something in the rules, the use of electronic devices during the meeting should be for the conduct of city business or for emergencies. Otherwise, that's if we state that in the rules. The other thing I do want to mention, as someone who routinely watches the videos of our meetings, depending on the angles of these cameras, they can see what is on your screen in the camera.
Yes.
Be mindful of that. That's all I wanted to say.
Yes.
Ms. Curtin?
Okay, so I kind of agree with Ms. Chichester along with Ms. Clear. I actually, utilizing my laptop right now, I have our charter up here. I also have council rules here, and I also have council rules there. So, and then I also do have small children at home. Thankfully, my niece is there now. However, I utilize, especially when we're having a working session like today, I cross-reference quite often. Or there could be a time in which there's an email I need to go back and reference, or there could just be something. But I do agree with Ms. Clear. As long as the conduct is related for city business, you will see me with my laptop up because I'm cross-referencing. There are times that I will take notes. I also take notes on my laptop. So this is not to just verify and justify, or not to justify and validate, but this is more so to maybe provide additional insight into the reasoning and the why. I am a scribe. I write down all things. And so I think, and of course, being new, onboarding is super important to know where to pop up. ORC, I have it up here. Looking at the charter, I have it up here. Looking at our council rules. So it's a cross-reference that I'm doing to best serve our city.
Thank you, Ms. Curtin. So I think we're kind of, before we get too much in the weeds on this one, is I feel like what we're stating here is I get the fact that we're more electronic now. Okay, I'm the same. I've got a cell phone. I have a tablet. My child has tablets. So I get that completely. And then some people are paper, where everything's paper. Okay. But one thing I just think we all need to remember, because there's been times where I've watched council and I've seen where council members have been eyes down the entire session in their laptops. And it's not like they're trying to be disrespectful. You're focusing, okay? But the thing is, we just got to remember eyes up as much as possible. I'm not saying 100% of the time you can't be, just use good judgment. If you're sitting here working and you're like, oh man, I've been sucked into what I'm doing, you got to remember what you're here for a meeting. If you're doing a quick reference, you're doing a quick note, that's one thing. You know, Ms. Chichester, like you mentioned, there's times you look up things real quick. You have something from a constituent that may not be here and they're sending it to you from home. Yes, of course, do what you, nobody's infringing on that, but be quick, like quick hits. Choo-choo. Instead of just being down, you know what I'm saying? Just using good judgment.
Madam President,
Ms. Kieran.
I also would just make a small recommendation. I'm a tall lady, so I think the constituents might be able to see my mouth above my laptop screen. So for that purpose, you might just want to raise your chair up for the purpose of our constituents to see us. To also for that engagement piece, you might just want to raise your chair up just a tad bit. I had to today. Otherwise, my chair would have been low and you would have not been able to engage with me and see me.
Madam President,
Ms. Claire.
I have for the language, the use of electronic devices shall be for city business, council business, or emergencies.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, let's move on before we get too much in the weeds with that. So, okay, so notice of meeting.
Madam President.
Ms. Zorb?
So I'm curious, sorry, I'm jumping right in. So I'm curious why the word special is in all of those, because I don't know that it says, any and all special meetings shall be open and comply with the ORC, but I think it should be,
Any and all meetings?
yeah, any and all meetings. Why, I don't understand why the word special is in there, because it's not just special
We
meetings.
can take it out. Because
It's
it
in there
says
twice,
meetings.
but yeah.
Because it's not like it states special meetings open to the public. It says meetings open to the public, which encompasses, in my mind, all.
Yeah.
So if everybody's cool with that, let's take out special, because it's on there twice.
Thank you.
Anyone else with this section? Okay. 2.2, notice of a meeting.
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin.
as an extension of what we spoke on in section 1.2.4, we can either remove or redact. The clerk of council shall give notice of regular meetings or notice of special meetings of council and committees within 24-hour notice. So this is actually redundant because it's saying the clerk of council shall give notice of regular meetings I don't think our clerk would notify us of our regular scheduled meetings. However, our clerk will notify us of special meetings. I think we should add the 24-hour clause in 2.2.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
I like that. In concept, I'm concerned about running the risk of being inconsistent between one section and another. Could we refer back to? So where it says the clerk of council shall give notice of special meetings of council and committees in accordance with section such and such. Can we do it that way? That way it remains consistent. We're not trying to duplicate language in two different places that could get out of sync.
So let's scratch.
What section that was?
I don't remember what that was,
Yep.
1.2, whatever the appropriate.
So let's scratch out notice of regular meetings, because obviously the clerk would not give us our notice of regular meetings. Our notice of special meetings of council and committees.
Madam Chair.
Time to get up.
Ms. Nichols?
Just to point.
Well,
Are you awake?
This is just referring to
Section 1.5.
the public notification.
Silence your phone.
Because it too says public access. So I don't know if that's where it is saying that the clerk is notifying the public, because that section says public access. So the clerk, public access, will notify the public. It just doesn't say the public. The clerk of council shall give notice, regular meetings.
I like that. All right, so let's keep that in, because that makes more sense. Thank you for putting it back in context.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
accordingly, should we, just to specify so that our future selves don't make the same interpretation error that we just did, that the clerk of council shall give public notice of regular meetings and special meetings of council and committee.
Yeah, I like that. All right, anyone else?
We could still say, I'm sorry,
In
Madam
accordance
President.
with,
Oh, we were going to refer back to that. What's that? What's that section we're referring back to?
The general section is
1.2.4, was it?
1.2, yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on. 2.3, copies of documents. Are we good?
Yes. Yep.
2.4, public comment at council meetings.
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin.
I actually want to ask a question regarding 2.2. As it stands now, what is the time frame for the clerk to respond to public records requests?
Is that addressed in 2.2?
I think it's in 2.3.
I think she means 2.3.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2.3. The clerk of council shall make available to the public all records under the clerk's control. What is our current time frame for that? And if we want to specify a time frame of response to records for just the clerk.
Madam President.
Ms. Rowe.
It would be my opinion that that is covered under, that's the Ohio Sunshine Laws. So and they just say in a timely manner is, from what I understand.
It gives the ORC, I'm sorry. I'm sure.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on to 2.4? I had an issue with discuss with council of clerk at least 4 days before the meeting which the member of the public wishes to speak out. I know that Mr. Graver had to where if somebody emailed a certain amount of time ahead that they would get more time upon speaking. And I'm fine with keeping that, but I feel like 4 days ahead is a little long because there's times where maybe a resident might be thinking Sunday that they have an issue and they'd like to address it Monday. So that wouldn't, open them up to much time. So,
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
if I had to guess. I think that they say 4 days because the agenda is supposed to go out, and I believe when people get extra time, sometimes they get added to the agenda.
Well,
Madam President.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes, she's correct. The agenda goes out on Thursday to us, or we have the deadline of Thursday to add to the agenda, and then it goes out on Friday. So that allows the president of council time to create the agenda, add things to the agenda, and get it out.
Madam President.
Then the Madam President
Ms.
after.
Gaster.
I agree with Ms. Chichester that the 4 days is for things that are going on the agenda, but I think we need to specify if this is someone coming to speak at the podium or if they want to be added to our agenda. From what I'm reading, it sounds like members discuss with council, clerk of council, okay, sign in with the clerk at the beginning of the meeting. So my brain automatically went to if, I don't know, Robert Hicks wants to come and talk about the speeding on Savannah and he wants 5 minutes, he would then come to president of council via email 24 hours ahead of time and request for 5 minutes. But if Robert Hicks wants to come with an architect and give us a whole presentation, then and wants to be added to the agenda, that's the 4 days. Am I correct, Ms. Chichester?
Yes, so to be added to the agenda is within 4 days. To add for extra time to speak during the allotted time for the guest speakers, it's 24 hours, I believe.
Where's that
Madam,
listed?
But it's not.
Okay, it
Madam
needs
President.
to be.
Madam President, I think
Ms.
I was-
Clear.
I'm sorry, I think it's
was
I'm
gonna
nobody's
say- I think
skipping
I
over you,
was
Ms. Clear.
next.
Nobody's
Yeah.
skipping over you. Go ahead.
Okay, there's a couple of points of clarification. 2.4, Section A, paragraph 1 says discuss with council to the clerk of council. Do people notify the clerk of council that they would like to speak at the meetings? Because what I just heard everybody say was that they're supposed to check in with the president of council. I just want to ask that clarification because that's not what that says. That's not what our website says. The other thing that I wanted to state was I believe that we need to have a different procedure for guest speakers who are coming to the meeting versus just a resident. For example, a few meetings back, because we don't have a defined process for that, the administrator gave up her report time to allow a guest speaker to speak. Typically, there's a procedure that is outlined, and there's a specific place, usually around the communications section of the agenda, where guest speakers can make their presentations to council, whether it's like an award or proclamation or someone like an architect wants to come in, but that's a designated part of the agenda because it's important for council to actually hear the reports, of the administration. So that our rules are silent on a procedure. How many days in advance does it need to go through the mayor for approval? If it's the department heads, does it go through the president of council for approval before it gets added to the agenda? We just need to, maybe that's something that warrants further discussion in another meeting, that we can add that in. But our rules are kind of silent on the differentiation between a guest speaker and a resident who just wants to address council with a concern or a question.
Madam President.
Ms. Kern.
I think
I apologize, Ms. Chichester.
Thank you. So to clarify or to give context to what Ms. Clear was just stating, the day that she yielded the time was someone we didn't get to add to the agenda in the appropriate allotted time, but had pre-planned to speak with council. So instead of just adding or amending the agenda, I think it was either the mayor or the administrator yielded their time for that presentation and just in the sense of time frame. But normally when it's a citizen, they emailed the president of council, which it was in the past, it was Mike and Christian. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot his name already. Mike and Mr. Hedger, the clerk of council and president of council. They worked very closely. If I emailed the clerk of council, I would CC Mike on there and as a citizen, and then they would add those minutes to the citizen requesting to speak. Now, a person coming to do the presentation, for example, the College Hill project, those were pre-planned, so to speak, in advance, and we knew those presentations were happening. So we knew that we could add those to the agenda in order to have that information for the city. So they are different. Yes, president of council is the person you're supposed to email. Then you will get that extended allotted time. Now, I'm asking council, are you guys looking to change that so that someone could come up as citizen day of and get that extra time? Or would we like to continue for them to email?
So to clarify, before we go to that point, Ms. Curtin, let's cut that a little short so I can answer her question. Go ahead.
Why don't you go ahead and answer her question so I don't have to be cut short?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll go back to March of 2024 when I began to attend council meetings. I never emailed the clerk. I always emailed the president. And the president would, same day, in fact, permit a citizen to speak as long as the email was received prior to the start of the meeting. However, that discretion was always with the president. That's point number one. Point number two is I do believe that if council and our clerk desires to allow a person, or I'll say our administration, our mayor, administrator, to yield time to someone in advance, I do believe that respectfully, that should still be at least a 24-hour notice. Maybe not the entire 4 days. In theory, that's extremely professional to do so of our time and our agenda. However, if there's an unprecedented situation or a pressing circumstance and there needs to be someone who presents to council at a certain time, I believe that they should not just have the ability to add to the agenda through an amendment, but there should still be notification to respect our council meeting and our time and our agenda.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Nichols.
I cannot speak for Ms. Dukes Dean, but I can speak for myself. In any situation where I had someone take my time, with the exception of one, I spoke to the president of council to get permission for that. I'll give an example. As of when Metro came, there was an issue between the original contact and myself where they missed an email, vice versa. So I asked, could they take my time during that time? I'm pretty sure Ms. Dukestein did contact Mr. Graver as well prior to any, that would have been an emergent situation with Metro. So, and to Ms. Curtin's point, 24-hour notice would not have been, because they were here. They had their things. And so I just think in emergent situations like that, that a 24-hour notice would not be feasible.
Madam
President.
Ms. Clear.
All I was suggesting was that we designate a portion in the agenda, the order of business, so that if we have a situation where a speaker wants to make a presentation, that it happens during the communications portion of the meeting at the beginning, and it does not replace the time for another, report that we need to hear as part of our normal conduct of business. So I'm just suggesting that and I don't know if that, and that's what I'm saying. This is a bigger question than this particular section, but I think there's a differentiation between things that happen on an emergent basis. But even if that were to be the case, we could just amend the agenda during the communications section to add a guest speaker or a presentation without needing to detract from the other reports that we're going to be hearing later in the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Clear.
Madam President.
Thank you, Ms. Clear, for that clarification. Real quick, Ms. Curtin, real quick.
Go ahead to Ms. Sword.
Go ahead, Ms. Sword.
I'm in the wrap-up stage because we're only in section 2 and we've been here over an hour.
Okay.
So in my mind, I agree with Ms. Clear. Maybe we need to, as the president of council, we've already discussed that you can assign certain matters to a committee. So can we shelve that, the whole communication thing, have a committee work on that, come back to council with what their proposal is and be done and move on?
Well, that's what I was trying to do right
Sorry?
here. But right here, before we move on, I do want to add that, because there's really nothing listed, is that customers, gosh, now I'm thinking work, constituents should have 24 hours notice, not 4 days. That's all I was saying.
Yep.
So can we add here 24 hours notice if they want, if just Joe Schmo Shirley from down the street wants to talk about missing her street sign and she needs 5 minutes because she talks slow, let's give her that extra 5 minutes if she lets us know within 24 hours. That's what I want added to this section. The rest of it, we're going to address at a different part.
You want to also add at your discretion? or not?
Please put at president's discretion.
At the base, oh, sorry, Madam President.
Yes.
After, I think it's what, Part G, Section G of this, underneath it says additional opportunities and time to speak may be granted at the discretion of the presiding officer. Would you like me to add or president? Or and president? Or
No,
just
I'm
take
the
it out?
presiding officer, so
Okay.
president's assumed. That's fine.
Okay.
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester.
I was just reminding you to go back to clarify my questions. I asked questions. You said you were going to come back.
Can you clarify your clarification?
So my question was to council, if we are changing the
Oh.
rule of 3 minutes to 5 minutes, are we saying the day of, before the meeting, if someone signs in and requests, will they get the 3 minutes or the 5 minutes? Or are we changing the rule to, if they reach out to the president of council before, 24 hours before the meeting, are they getting that 5 minutes then? Which
Yes.
would we like to keep? I like, just from my point of view, the 24-hour rule to keep our meetings flowing.
Yes, that's what we're stating, is the 24-hour rule.
I just wanted to make sure
And
we were
that way they
all-
get their 5. But if they come to the podium, the day of, they get 3.
Yes. So we're keeping it the same.
Yes.
Okay.
All I was doing was giving the citizens a little more grace of, I think it's unreasonable to say if Gracie Lou has a problem and she's on Sunday night, or, not Sunday night, 24 hours, you know what I'm saying, 24 hours ahead of time, give her the time to send out an email to us, give her a little more grace. That's all I'm stating. I'm not changing anything, I'm just giving a little more grace to our constituents.
So,
If I could state it.
Madam President,
You can continue on.
I would just add under section 2.4B, adding a number 3 and putting in emailing president of council within 24 hours will receive the 5-minute allotted time.
I would like to add that it is emailing the president of council and the clerk of council together.
Okay.
Madam President.
Ms. Clear, but this will be
I
the last
believe,
discussion
yes,
on
I
this.
believe bullet point C addresses that. If a member of the public complies with Rule 2.4B, the member of the public receives 5 minutes. So I think 2.4B, paragraph 1, discuss with counsel to the clerk of council. It looks to me like a copy and paste error. Perhaps we adjust that to say email the president and clerk of council 24 hours ahead. That's the part I think we're trying to amend. And then Rule C says if they comply with that, then they get the 5 minutes.
Yeah, so what we need to do is just change
Is that what
B.
we were going for?
That's
We just need to change B to being 24 hours, and then that, everything else just goes in line right with it. All right, let's move on, guys, because we're good, we're failing fast here. I have dreams of being home.
Ditto.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So we have 2.5, removal of disruptive individuals from council chambers. Anyone have an issue?
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin?
actually, not to prolong the time or belabor the time, 2.4, letter F. It states, council may or may not respond to comments. I earnestly believe that there is a significant level of disrespect to our citizens. If our citizens ask us a question and we look at them as if we didn't hear or even acknowledge them. So in our professionalism, moving forward, a new day, a new dawn, if a council member is asked a question by a citizen, even if that council member doesn't have the answer in that moment, acknowledgement of that person. It could be someone from Metro. It could be from someone from the city of North College Hill. It doesn't matter. That council member should always respond to anyone who's asking them a question.
So you feel, Ms. Curtin, that F basically states that council does not have to respond to the public to a question?
That is my interpretation.
So are you looking to get rid of F altogether, or do you want to reword F to saying council should reply to comments from the audience, and maybe put something like, if they do not have the answer at the time, give a indication of how much time it would take to get back to them? Kind of like we state at my work, something like, if you
I'll look into it and get back to you.
Yeah, you have a statement and a promise.
That is correct.
I don't have your answer right now, but I will get back to you within 2 days.
That is correct, Madam President. Also, I would like to recommend in that same sentence beyond the comma, remove the word but and add council shall not engage in debate with members of the public. So that statement should read what you mentioned before the comma. After the comma, remove the word but, and council shall not engage in debate with members of the public.
When you're saying debate, are you stating that they are not allowed to talk back and forth? Because I think we'll get on a thin line of what a debate is. Like we're talking about Mary Sue down the street that's saying she's got potholes as big as,
Crater.
the sun, and I'm like, oh no, Mary Sue, I saw it, the pothole's only this big, but we'll get out there. Am I debating with her?
You're discussing with her. I think I believe we would all know what the word debate means. So if Susie Q down the street says, hey, her potholes are having an issue, and you respond to Susie Q, and Susie Q says, you know what, I also saw it on Galbraith, I also saw it on Hamilton, I also saw it on Goodman, and you respond back to Susie Q, that's discussion. That is not debate. Debate is when it becomes quarrelsome, heated, and where honestly it's a never-ending conversation.
Okay, so Ms. Clear, can you kind of sum that up in a sentence for me right now?
Yes.
So, Madam
Oh,
President.
Ms. Orr, I was just trying to get a
Yep.
basis.
But I'm not sure I agree. So we're going to talk about this for a minute then. And I made eye contact with the mayor. We have both been through some ugly council meetings. And there are times when any response from council, whether in your mind you think it's a debate, it will come across as a debate, and it will come across negatively. And there are numerous times that you are better off to just sit here and take it and keep your mouth shut.
Madam President.
And I'm going to say, I do not agree that we shall respond.
Madam President.
Madam President.
President, I was next.
Hold on, there was a lot of Madam Presidents over here. Ms. Chichester?
I agree with Mary Jo. Ms. Orr, apologies. It is standard practice at other city council meetings in different cities, that council do not respond. One, it prohibits misinformation given out when you're just giving a response to a person.
Heat of the moment.
Two, if you've never sat in this seat before, sometimes people come to the podium looking for a heated debate.
I agree with Ms. Chichester.
In order for conflict resolution to diffuse that type of behavior, do not engage.
Amen, sister.
Ms. Clear?
Yes, I was going to piggyback on that. At school board meetings too as well, especially I remember distinctly, during COVID, there would be hundreds of speakers lined up to address. And if they responded to each and every one of those, we would have been here for hours. And so I agree politely nodding the head, acknowledging I hear you, but verbally being required to respond could exacerbate a tense situation, or it could actually expose the city to liability. And nodding, I hear you, if it's something that they're asking a question specifically and I feel I can say, I don't have the answer for you now, but I'll get back with you, I think that's okay. But I don't think that we should be compelled to verbally respond when just because someone is addressing. That is standard. Even in public hearings, people are there to provide their feedback. They don't necessarily need to engage in a conversation about every single comment, that's made.
Madam President, so I think we are hooked up or we're hanging up on the word respond, and I actually said acknowledge. So acknowledgement doesn't mean that, or excuse me, if a person is saying, Mrs. Curitan, I wanted to talk to you about the project X, Y, and Z, and even if I don't have an answer in that moment, I'm sitting mute still. I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, mute still, and no response. That's actually a bit rude. So I recommend that at minimum, there's acknowledgement. Think about it this way. If you were in an office with your boss in a meeting and your boss asked you a question, we serve our citizens. Would we respond with nothing to our boss? If our boss asks us a question, even if we did not have the answer, there would be acknowledgement of what our boss, our manager, whomever, our citizens is saying. So even if we do not have an answer, even if we want to avoid quarrelsome, even though we want to avoid debate, an acknowledgement that Mr. and Mrs. Hamilton Avenue, Mr. and Mrs. Galbraith, I hear you, I see you, and at some point in time, let's connect. That's what Kathy Curitan believes. But to just go around and not to have them at the podium speaking to us, and we say nothing at all in response to their comment. The statement says council may or may not respond to comments from the audience. If there is a constituent who comes and they ask me a question, then it's a bit rude of Kathy Curitan to not even acknowledge that constituent. I won't do that. I will acknowledge the people who have asked me a question.
Madam President.
1 second.
Okay.
So this is just coming from personal experience from when I was on council before. There was times where citizens would come in and they just want to fight. And they come in and they are angry. They ask you questions that are demeaning and demoralizing. And the best thing when it happened to me personally was just when I was sitting here when they were talking, I looked at them, I acknowledged that they were talking, but I did not respond because all I would be doing at that point would be escalating the situation. By me having eye contact with them, acknowledge that they're talking to me. Yes. But the fact of if I made any response, I could have said they were right. I could have said I was wrong. I could have said I've changed the moon to purple. It would have made a difference. They would still be angry. And the only thing I could do at that time, because I felt powerless, and it was one of the worst times I had when I was on council previously, was I felt that I could not do anything other than acknowledge their anger by sitting here and taking it. And afterwards, I tried to pull them aside and talk to them. But at the moment, there was nothing I could do other than to receive their anger and look at them back.
Madam President.
Miss Gaston.
Nope.
Nope, sorry,
Alexandra.
I apologize.
I think the reason why the verbiage may or may not is because it's at the discretion. You have to read the room. Mm-hmm. And I know there are times where you may be told legally, do not respond to any question. because maybe the city is some type of liability going up. And yeah, you want to. You sitting up there and you want to say, I agree, or
Read my
I
mind.
can't tell you, you know. But I think that is why the verbiage may or may not is because there are absolute times where you have to use your discretion and you have to step outside yourself and think about the city. That's, you know, one of the things that when I came on council, I said I have to, a lot of times, step out of myself. Something may be advantageous for me and my family, but I can't look at that. I have to look at the city. And legally, if something is going to make the city liable if I speak, even though it might make that person calm down a little bit, or I feel, dag, I want to say something because, you know, like I'm working with you, but that's why I think that may or may not. And sometimes, like I said, you are sitting there and they're asking you, well, what did they say? Or were you guys in this? But with that oath, all I can do is smile at you or look at you, and it may look like it's disrespectful, and all I can do is pray that later on it's all going to come out and you're going to understand me later on why I couldn't say anything. And so that's why I think that may or may not. You still have to use the discretion. Like, you know, Kathy, yeah, there's times where, yeah, you should say some things, you know, because that's what we're here for. But if I have made the determination in my mind that it is best for me not to, or I've been maybe advised legally not to, I just got to take that fussing until hopefully at the end, when everything is solved, you understand why I couldn't say anything.
Madam
So I
President.
think this may or may not needs to stay there. And you might, like I said, I think it should leave it as is, because there are might be some situations where I can't respond.
Madam
Okay.
President.
Ms. Gaston, we'll make this the last comment on this.
Yes, awesome. Respectfully, we are on section 2 of council rules, and we are having a lot of debate on small things, and we've been here for an hour and a half, and we still have other tasks to complete. So if I may, if we can leave F as is, and go on to the next one, respectfully. It is 2:31.
Yes, I'm in agreement that we should leave F as is. Let's move on to 2.5, removal of disruptive individuals. Are we good with that?
Yes.
3, council chamber.
Nothing.
3.2, seating of members. 3.3, official of council, officers of council. I apologize.
Madam President,
Ms. Orb.
I want to back us up to 3.2. We did not do that, and I don't see that on this other list of items we have to go through. Are we going to do that today? I know everyone just kind of came in and sat down wherever, and we didn't actually.
We can address this
get
while
through
we're
that.
here, just to address everybody as a whole. You know, everybody kind of sat down as they came in. I know what we have listed here as it goes by seniority. Is everybody okay with the seating that they are in currently as per your seniority coming into council? Are you okay where you are sitting?
Do you want to go down the list?
Madam
Let's-
President.
Hold on, let's do roll call with it
Oh.
and be official.
Who are you calling?
What are we?
You're calling in seniority level?
Or we,
Yes.
that's fine. We can do in seniority level.
I just need a clarification. What is happening right now?
As I
I don't know.
Ms. Clear, as I stated, just a second ago, as I stated, we were talking about the seating.
Okay.
And that we were talking about everybody sat down as they sat down. But we also, it states in the rules of council that it's per seniority. We're just going around just to firm up and make sure that where everybody's sitting, as per everybody's seniority, and that means as the person who first came into council, whether by vote or by appointment, from, I don't want to say oldest,
Time served.
historically, versus, baby New Year.
Okay, so just, Madam President, if I can clarify then. So what's going to happen then is they're going to start with the person who's the most senior member of council, ask if they're okay with their seat or if they would like to move,
Yes.
and then move on to the next most senior person and ask if they're okay with their seat or if they want to move.
Yes, that's what we
Okay,
stated.
that's what I'm just trying to clarify. So it's not like a roll call.
Well, it is, but it's a roll call for this specific situation.
I'm last.
Ms. Clear, seniority roll call, please.
Okay, I apologize if I mix people up. I don't exactly know how long some of the members have been here, but I believe Ms. Sorb has been on part of council for the most amount of time.
Yes,
be
and
so
I am
sweet.
okay with this seat.
All right, and then is it Miss Alexander next, or?
Yes,
Okay,
I would like to move my seat here. I used to be over there. I would like to move my seat here to your left.
That's so confusing. I'm gonna have to,
Stay here.
all right, and then I believe Mr. Davis is next.
I'm either good where I'm at or at the last seat if possible.
You have seen.
Nope, you gotta pick
You
one.
need to make
gotta
a
pick, it's
decision.
you.
Last seat then.
All right,
Oh, Miss Chichester.
I know.
If you want to, go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I ain't.
I just like being
Yeah, we
back.
good.
It's like-
Yeah, let's go. I'll go right here then.
Okay.
You're so sweet.
Easy
Yeah,
like
he's just
Sunday morning.
amicable.
all right, and then I believe Miss Gaston was appointed next.
I'm just kidding. I'll stay here.
And then Miss Chichester.
I'll stay.
And then Miss Keratin
I'm good, thank you.
and Miss Clear.
I'm good, thank you very much.
Okay. So since we did the seating of members, let's go to 3.3, officials, officers of council.
Madam President. Similar to how we did the seating, may I suggest a President Pro Tem?
I have a motion.
Yes.
You want to restate?
I would like to make a motion to appoint Miss Mary Jo Zorb as President Pro Tem.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I'll second that.
So I have a motion from Ms. Gaston, sorry.
That's right.
Going Beauty and the Beast with it, sorry. I have a motion from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Clear to appoint Ms. Zorb as being President pro tempore. Roll call?
Miss Sorb,
Yeah, yes, sorry.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Keratin,
Yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Okay. So we have Clerk of Council,
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
I will recuse myself from this conversation at this time.
Okay. So we have Clerk of Council. Anybody have any comments on 3.4?
No.
Are you not going to appoint her then?
No, well.
She's already been appointed.
Yeah.
No, we're just talking about her.
You've already been appointed.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, 3.4, Clerk of Council. Anybody have any comments about this one?
No.
Okay, next page, Meeting of Council, regular meetings. And then we have special meetings, Adjourned meetings, all under 4. Anybody have any comments on that section?
Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
it's just the terminology that I'm confused about. In the, it's a very long first sentence. In the second sentence, it says, "The call for the meeting shall state the time, date, location, and subjects to be considered." Can we change that word "subjects" to "specific purpose"?
Yes.
Madam President.
I think that kind of aligns with the ORC's terminology.
Ms. Chichester?
Just for records purposes, Ms. Zorb, are you reading 4.2 special meetings?
I am.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought we.
Yeah, I just mentioned the whole, I think now we need to start going in clumps to make sure we get done.
Madam President,
Ms. Cureton?
second paragraph of 4.2, if I am understanding and interpreting this correctly, it says that the clerk will notify us of a proposed cancellation. However, it doesn't say the clerk will notify us of the actual cancellation. It actually says the clerk shall post cancellation of the special meeting, but it doesn't talk about the actual notification to council. So I don't know if we want to remove the word proposed and add in that the clerk will notify us only if the meeting is canceled, and that means the special meeting.
Yeah, it does come off kind of like we are thinking of canceling versus we are canceling. So if everybody's cool with that, let's take out proposed. Because by the time you've notified the clerk, you're canceling.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay, so we can move on to 5, presiding officers. That's 5-1, 5-2, 5-3, 5-4.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston.
very, very simple clerical error. 5.1, the very last sentence is missing a period. That's it.
Okay.
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
a question about the preservation of order. We have a sergeant of arms. Is that something we officially have, a sergeant of arms?
I think we have, most times I'm thinking we have Chief Cheney here, and I think that is at the request of the mayor. The mayor can chime in if that is true.
During your meetings for a decorum.
Yeah, so is he acting as sergeant of arms?
Well, if that's who we're using as your sergeant of arms, yes, because typically we didn't have anyone else. So council hadn't appointed anyone else to that position,
So
so.
basically, if something is happening.
Someone from the police department. If
That's
it's
what-
not him, then
It's
it would be another officer.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
So at some point, there
Okay.
will be a representative here.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, let's move on to 6 members. That's 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, 6-4, and 6-5. Oh my gosh, that goes on to the next page. So do we just want to do the 6 part that is on page 6? So,
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
under the section 6.1, duty to vote, I had made a note. It says every member present shall vote on all binding motions, ordinances, and resolutions, except that no member shall vote on any question in which he or she is financially interested or which in any way involves the personal or private rights or obligation of a member or the immediate family of a member. A member wishing to be excused shall state the reason. However, ORC section 2921.42 states the conflict of interest, which I think is what this is trying to address, is the family, the individual who is the member, or members of their immediate family, or their business associates.
Okay.
And it has to be in which he or she is financially or fiduciarily interested. So, for example, if I serve on the board of directors at a nonprofit that is coming before the city for
You would
a
have to
contract,
abstain.
I would have to abstain from, so just because it doesn't personally financially interest me, but have a fiduciary capacity.
So
that
what are you
law.
looking to change?
I would like to add where it says, goodness, whatever language is consistent with ORC 2921.42. So that's the conflict of interest.
Ms. Clear,
I'm trying to think of how to reword this, in which he or she or a member of their immediate family or business associate has a financial or a fiduciary interest.
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander.
can we just refer to that on this rule? Put that on there?
I don't see a problem with referring to it if we know the exact ORC number.
We do, yeah.
Okay, can you give the clerk?
Yeah,
that
it's ORC 2921.42.
Okay. Anyone else for the member, 6, which is members on page 6?
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb.
there's two, I guess I'm going to call them typos, where in the word conflict, twice the word conflict, the F and L has turned up to be a question mark. Can we fix those? It's twice in that second paragraph.
All right, are we good with page 6? Can we move on to page 7? Because I have a problem on page 7. So 6.5, tie vote. It says, on a tie vote, Article 5, Section 5.03, the charter, this part is actually in conflict with the charter. It says the presiding officer shall break the tie. On a tie vote, the president of council shall break the tie even if he or she is acting mayor. Per the charter, it states that cannot happen. In the charter, if you're acting mayor, then it's President Pro Tem that would break the tie, not the president of council. So if we can change 6.5 to take out, on a tie vote, the president of council shall break the tie even if he or she is acting mayor.
Madam
Madam President.
Ms. Chichester.
Question. So does that mean the acting president pro tem does not vote in say we're voting in a regular council meeting, you're off in Hawaii and you're pro tem?
No, it doesn't state in the charter that that's an issue. It just states in the charter that the president of council, once they become acting mayor, and I think
Okay.
it's because they're crossing that boundary into administration,
Right.
that they cannot act in two capacities.
So if you're acting mayor and your president pro tem is standing in, they act as you and do not vote, correct?
They
I'm asking
can
for-
vote. President Pro Tem can vote.
In the event of a tie or,
They can break a tie.
so say,
She's talking about the initial vote.
yes.
The initial vote, the President Pro Tem votes.
No.
Yes.
And then
Should
they
they
will
not
vote
vote?
again for the tie?
And then
is
if
what I'm
there's a
asking.
tie, the Pro Tem votes again.
Yes.
Madam President?
In my opinion, when I was president pro tem, actually, I never came across that situation where I had to break a tie and be the, you know what I'm saying? Who else has been president pro tem in this? Have you come across that situation? Ms. Nichols?
I've only had to break the tie as president of council, not as, there was 6 members present and they opposite, so not as pro tem, only as president where I had to break a tie. But then that's like a double vote. So if I
I've
think
just
about
never
it,
had that
right,
situation.
if I think about it, I'm going to use the word maybe. maybe if that situation arises where you are acting mayor, Ms. Zorb is pro tem, the initial, no, I was going to say the initial vote, she probably shouldn't vote because the acting president wouldn't vote unless necessary. So then that means we have to compare your rules to the charter to say, going forward, during an actual vote, will President Pro Tem vote?
So I
Madam
see no
Chair.
problem with the president voting, like, say, in just the roll call, but where you're adding in the extra layer of you're also now breaking a tie. That's where I get where you're saying completely. It just, like I said, I've never experienced it. So,
Madam Chair.
was there state, Ms. Zorb?
President, yeah. So, because we're all speculating at this point, can I recommend that you take that as homework and talk to Mr. Dieters about it and figure
Yeah.
it out and come back to
Yeah,
us?
we can definitely
Thank you.
go. Because that's further down the road than I think any of us have
Yeah.
ever foresaw.
There's a lot of ifs in there.
Yeah, so I'll take a look at that and get back with y'all. And then if we need to amend the rules, if, like, you know what I'm saying, we need to add something, we could do that. Okay? Because that at least this is a living document in that state.
Madam President, I think I
Ms.
had
Claire.
asked to speak.
Ms. Claire?
So just, because I just wanted to throw this out there. This part we at least all agree on a tie vote, the president of council shall break the tie unless. So we need to change the word even to unless he or she is acting mayor. Right? So I just want to clarify, we all agreed on that point.
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
second sentence, in the absence of president of council, the presiding officer, whoever that is, breaks the tie. It may be the president pro tem, but there was a circumstance we had where both the president pro tem and the president were out. And we had to appoint a presiding officer. So that presiding officer's vote then is the tie-breaking vote. In my opinion, they should not vote during the initial roll call. They just vote to break the tie. But that's
agree.
just my opinion.
If you read it
So
again,
that's the part
that's
we're
what
going to
it
ask
says.
Dieters about, because it could be anyone who's appointed the presiding officer, not just President Pro Tem.
Madam Chair, the assumption, when you read that again, in the absence, it's making you say that the President Pro Tem takes on the role of the President of Council. If I take on that role, just like if you took on the role as mayor, you would perform those duties. So as President of Council does not get a vote until necessary. So it's like a hidden
I'd still like
something.
to.
Yeah.
I'd still like to change it to where Ms. Clear was stating that the president of council breaks the tie unless they are acting mayor. That way it's downline, and then the rest of it where we're stating about breaking a tie where you're president pro tem and you're also voting, I would like to go through that with Dieters, Mr. Dieters, and make sure we're kind of all in line. But I think that at least changing that one part would make me feel better with the charter.
I would also research it, see if there's an ORC.
All right, anything else with 6 on page 7? Do we want to look at 6.8, where it says each member shall be present within council chambers during the entirety of each meeting? Maybe put on there present at roll call or present at, because right now it just says present. So I could be coming,
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin.
as we move forward, new day, new dawn, new city, I do think that we should include present during roll call. I also understand there might be extenuating circumstances that were 5, 10, however many minutes. But I do believe that being present, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Not present at roll call, because you may start roll call at 7 and a person may arrive at 7:02. They need to be here, ready to go at the start before the roll call.
Madam President,
Real quick before that, now, like tonight, Mr. Davis, sorry, I apologize.
you,
I'm
You good.
Getting all the names.
It's gonna happen again.
I'm getting all the names. I apologize. Mr. Davis let us know that he was going to be a bit late. That's fine, because he let me know before roll call, hey, I'm going to be a few minutes late. That was completely fine with me, because I knew he was coming. You know what I'm saying? That's completely fine. So my thing is, I feel like you need to contact us before roll call if you're going to be late. That way we know you're not in a car accident, that we're not worrying about you. You know what I'm saying? Ms. Alexander?
I think it says during the entirety. That includes roll call.
So you don't think we need to be specific?
Entirety means entirety. When you hit that gavel, that's the beginning of it, and roll call is already included in that.
All right, then we don't need to be more specific than that. I'm good with that. All right, let's move on to 7.
Madam President, if I may, could we have a short recess?
Of course we can.
It's been a little while, and I think
Let's
we
hear
can
a
stretch our
motion for
legs
a
for a minute.
recess.
I would like to make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb?
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Ms. Clear and a second from Ms. Zorb to move to recess. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Keratin,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
So we can,
Yeah.
get out before midnight. Okay, we were on 7 on page 6. Oh, sorry, 7 on page 7.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
for the order of business, meetings that I've attended a lot of times members of the public who wish to address council have to sit here for a very long time. I would propose moving remarks from the audience from its current spot, which is very late in the agenda, and putting it right after communications and before reports of the committees. I would propose doing that. Maybe restating that to be public comment and guest speakers per our previous conversation. So the order would be, number 1, prayer and pledge, number 2, roll call, number 3, approval of minutes, number 4, communications, and then number 5 would become public comment and guest speakers. I propose that, as opposed to having them wait potentially for over an hour to be able to address council.
I have no problem with that. Does anyone else have any issues with
President?
that change?
No.
Madam
Mr.
President.
Chichester?
What if someone decides to speak on a report that was given from the committees? So maybe if you're going to move it, not moving it to number 4, but maybe put it after the reports of the committees, which gives the citizen a chance to respond to maybe a report that was given.
The only problem with that, Ms. Chichester, is that you could also say, what if they want to respond to the mayor or the city official or the report
meant-
from the law director?
Maybe before calling members or even,
Madam Chair,
Ms. Nichols?
it's typically on your agenda twice, but in this, it's not on here twice. It's typically
legislation.
after legislation, there's one that says remarks from the audience as it pertains to legislation. But in your rules, it doesn't say that, but it's always on the agenda.
Madam
So
President?
either it needs to be corrected on the agenda or in your rules.
Ms. Clear?
Yes, I noticed that also. One of the things that I did notice is that the way our current practice is the comment doesn't come until after legislation, but that's too late.
Yep.
Potentially, the vote has already taken place, so the public comment then becomes moot if I wanted to give my 2 cents to council about how I feel about the legislation. So maybe it is public comment and guest speakers in the beginning, and then any further remarks from the audience before legislation. Potentially further remarks from the audience and move it to be before legislation instead of after legislation.
Madam President.
President.
So, Ms. Clear, just for clarification, so you're stating moving call of sorry, I apologize. We're talking about remarks from the audience, move it up under communications, so it'd be number 5. and you're stating that it would be remarks from the audience / guest speaker.
I'm modifying, Madam President.
Guest speaker, and then you'll be like after call members, further remarks from the audience.
Yeah, I think the point about responding, I think number 9 could be restated, further remarks from the audience. But then we add, well, it'll become number 10 in the new lineup.
Yeah.
But right after communications, like public comment and guest speakers.
Okay.
Or if we want to say remarks, if we want to call it remark, but other agendas, I kind of benchmarked how other cities title it and name it, and it's usually called a public comment period or guest speakers.
Madam
Okay,
President,
Ms. Gaston.
I kind of want to piggyback off of what Ms. Chichester stated, because if we have them before we all speak, they may want to respond to something that Mayor Nichols says, because sometimes people come and they're just guests and just listening with nothing to say, but then something may spark them from Chief Cheney or our city administrator, and they may want to come up and speak then. So that kind of limits their opportunity. I understand that they would be sitting here for a while, but in my head, if I'm coming as a guest, you're staying for the meeting as long as you can regardless. I just don't want to negate the opportunity for them to have to respond to whatever they're hearing from administration and council.
Madam President.
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester?
may I make a suggestion?
Yes.
That we keep
Yeah.
intact and add the remarks as it pertains to legislation afterwards, because they may have a comment to where we vote, how we vote on that legislation, and add an additional public comment so that if someone just wants to come and speak about their issue and they don't want to sit through our whole order of business, maybe adding that in where you said number 4, communication, remarks to the audience pertaining to citizen concerns.
So maybe having 4 be communications, and that could also be public comment. So we're having 3 public comments.
So, with a caveat to the first one, that it only pertains to non-official business on the thing. Like, it won't pertain to our legislation, it won't pertain to our committees, because that will go in the original sections. And this is just for citizen concerns. We could call it citizen concerns per
Oh, I got
community.
specific.
Madam President.
So just for clarification, we're talking about I'm having a problem with my pothole at the end of my street. I'm having a problem with the tree fell over, and what's it?
Because a lot of people may not understand how to communicate that without coming to a meeting. So this will be a way for people to bring those concerns into our view. And I would suggest not giving the extra 5 minutes during this time frame. These is
So
just the
just
2
be
minutes.
the quick 3-minute. All right, Ms. Clear?
I get what you're saying, but I disagree. I think that the first opportunity we provide people to speak, they ought to be able to remark on anything that's coming up on the agenda, particularly before votes are taken or any official motions or actions are taken. That they can speak to anything that's on the agenda, or they can speak to a certain concern. It's, again, I was watching other meetings, looking at other agendas, and that allows the public to have a say-so, because we're here to do what they need, you know, so being able to hear them up front before we're taking any kind of an official action on this, I think is very important. And it also gives them the opportunity to say what they need to say and not have to wait until, okay, now you can talk about this and now you can talk about that, because sometimes we do executive sessions, sometimes there's a lot of questions that we have for administration. It takes over an hour, you know, so I don't want to have to wait an hour to say, you know what, I want to say about legislation such and such. I want to just make sure I can give council my feedback, and I don't want to have to sit here for an hour to talk for 3 minutes. You know, that's me as citizen comment. So I think anyone who, and the first opportunity for public comment, or however we're going to name that, they should be able to speak to anything they want. And then if there's further remarks from the audience later, that's why I'm saying keep number 9 and make it be further remarks from the audience, that it could be, if we want to narrow that down, as we have done in the past, fine. But I think that first public comment section should be open.
Thank you.
That's my thought process on
Madam
that.
President.
Thank you, Ms. Claire.
Madam President.
One second, was there, I thought there was somebody over here. Ms. Chichester?
I was just going to retract that because it would be confusing to add parameters around what is said. But with that stated, I think we should keep it at number 9 so that they have a full view of what council and reports are given during that day. And then making sure that we do have the 11 remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation. Because I know we've seen it before where we'll vote on the legislation and then someone will come up to speak and it wouldn't be pertaining to legislation. So that would be kind of taking our meetings backwards. So keeping it as to saying they speaking about legislation after we vote, not saying that from the remarks from the audience piece could not speak on legislation. So they have that opportunity during the number 9 remark of the audience, and then they have the opportunity to speak when it's after we vote on legislation.
Madam
So-
President.
Real quick, so okay, go ahead, Ms. Alexander.
Just real quick, I think that this should reflect, I like how this is reflected, how that remarks from the audience is before legislation. I think we should have 2 spaces, so if someone at the beginning, under that communication, wants to speak about something and leave, they can. You know, because perhaps that's all they want to come there for is to talk about that pothole. So I think that's very important. And whether it's the pothole or something they have a question about, that's fine. But I like that this is reflected, which is different than what we normally have, how that remarks from the audience is before that legislation. I think that that should be modeled in our actual agenda. That's it.
So one thing I do like, and I've been hearing this, and I like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but what we're stating, I do like the fact that maybe we're expanding the communication piece at the beginning to also be inclusive of the people in the audience. So if we state, and it may not have to be in here listed out, but at least we state at the beginning of the meeting until people get used to it, like, hey, we are respectful of your time. If there is something that, you have an emergent situation that you want to bring to our, to our attention, you bring it up during communication. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, I do like the fact that that the remarks from the audience is before legislation. Do we want to add to the rules that there is remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation afterwards? Because it is missing. So let's officially do that.
So they are going to have 3 times?
No, 2.
Two in here. I'm just stating is I like the idea of communications. Maybe.
Yeah, remarks from the audience is number 9.
Right, but that's not how we usually have it on our agenda.
I get that.
Madam President,
So
I would like to recommend that you make a final determination so that we can continue moving forward, please.
That's what I'm trying to do. Thank you. So I think what we need to do is keep the remarks from the audience where it is right now as number 9, right before legislation. We need to add in the further remarks from the audience so it coincides with what we're doing
where?
after legislation. That's what we're currently doing, right?
So
Are you currently, when you're doing council agendas, that when you're talking about legislation, you have further remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation afterwards?
Yes.
Well, it's not listed here. I'm just saying we should add that in just so it works together.
okay,
right?
so I'm sorry, Madam President.
Being confused.
So I had asked that there's going to be 3 times for the public to speak, and I was told no, but now I'm here. So I'm really confused because I thought like at number 4, communications, that was going to be, we were changing that to communications / special guest / public comment.
I mean, I like that. All I said was I liked it.
No,
that
I
idea.
like that also, and that, and
But I
maybe
had
we even
nobody
change it to a
joining in,
different.
going, Madam President, I think that's a really great idea. I just put
Madam
it out there
President, that's a
saying,
good idea.
I like it.
So I would like it to be a separate line item. I would like, because communications is typically what the clerk
Right.
needs to communicate to us. So I would like to see communications stay as its own
Okay.
singular line item, and then add another line item that says special guest, public comment, or even we even break that up. It could be special guest and then public comment, so that public comment is not in the, between a special guest somewhere.
Do you feel if we're doing that, that we need the remarks from the audience on number 9? I know that number will change once we're moving things
Right.
around.
I particularly like the number 9 being before the number 10. I was confused when you said, now we're gonna have another one, basically number 11.
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, right now, we are doing further remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation. Are we going to add that to the rules? 'Cause-
I think number 9 should be that. I think
Okay.
number 9
So
should be,
you're stating that we are, since we have been doing that historically, we're saying we're going to end that. We're not going to do further remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation.
Madam
I just want it
President,
before
Okay,
the legislation.
that's perfectly
So number
fine.
9 should be remarks from the audience as it pertains to legislation.
Or remarks from the audience, period. They can talk about legislation, they can talk about
Sure.
potholes, they can talk about. Ms.
it
Curie.
seems as if council maybe isn't agreeing on this topic. Can you call roll so that we can agree on what we would like to do, majority, and move forward?
Okay,
Madam President, before we go
It's
down
clear.
that path, I think if we're going to call the roll on this point, we didn't call the roll on anything else. So I think that might inject some confusion. If we're going to do this entire document at some point later, that's, I think, when we call the roll.
yeah.
But I think in terms of, again, this document is not set in stone. If it's working, if it's not working, we can always modify this at some point down the road if it's creating too much of confusion or lengthening our meetings unnecessarily. So I think we can just put a plug in it. We'll try it with the 3, and then,
Well, I think
Go
we're
from
going
there.
with 2. I'm going to restate here and make sure everybody at least nods their head in agreement that that's what we're taking. So we're talking about prayer and pledge of allegiance, roll call, approval of minutes, communications, and then we're going to have public comment. And then we're going to leave space afterwards for guests. And then reports of committees. And then reports from the mayor, city law director, call of members, further remarks from the audience.
As it pertains to legislation.
Well, I was just saying, they can talk about, if they want to talk, they can talk about legislation, they can talk about potholes, and then legislation, old business, new business, adjournment. Are we good with that?
Madam,
Okay,
Madam President, is it okay if we just separate the prayer pledge and then have the call to order, roll call, approval of agenda, and then minutes, just like how it is in the agenda?
yeah, that's fine to
Okay,
separate
cool.
that out. So real quick, I also, I want to interject here about executive session, about
Mr. Davis.
I understand that. I will address that, but I'm putting in a bookmark that I want us to talk about executive session when it has to do with council meetings. Mr. Davis.
so to make sure that we're clear, so we're going to have at what would now become the number 10 remarks from the audience, and then like a 10A. So because how would we have remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation before the legislation is read and or heard?
They get a copy of it.
Mr. Davis, I think where people are coming from is the fact of that if it's after the legislation has already been potentially voted on, their questions can't be answered, or they feel like their questions wouldn't matter because it's already been voted on. If they have questions regarding the legislation, it might behoove them to get their questions answered before the legislation is acted on. So if there's legislation tonight about adding a street sign at the corner of a driveway, which is kind of silly, but I'm just trying to make
Right.
some
I
kind
get
of
what you're saying.
off-the-hand thing. And we have the constituents has a question about it, and we go ahead and suspend second and third readings, we just push it through tonight. Their questions probably should have been heard before we voted. We need to hear from them. So that's why they're wanting to move it before the legislation, so we hear any questions that they potentially have that might affect how we vote before we vote, not after, because we're here for them.
Okay.
It's on the website, and then they get it at the beginning.
Okay. I get
Ms.
Madam
Curie-
President.
Oh, Ms. Chichester?
Thank you. So, as members of council, if there's edit amendments of any of those kind that we do during legislation, when will they have the opportunity to speak on those issues? Will we still have remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation? That's my first question. The second one isn't a question, it's more of a statement, but traditionally, remarks for the audience could be of any topic. If they wanted to come speak about the legislation, they had the opportunity during that section of our agenda to speak during that time on any topic. So the only concern is if we remove remarks from the audience or move it to communication, it doesn't give the audience an opportunity to ask questions maybe about committee reports, or if there was something in recreation and development that they did not understand, or maybe there was something we brought up that wasn't brought up, may have been missed. That gives them the opportunity during that time where it's currently located on the agenda to bring that remark of the question. So I understand sitting through our meetings, because sometimes we understand that these meetings run a little bit long, but I think the placement of it where it currently stands allows all those opportunities to be had in that part of the agenda.
So for clarification, I feel like what we're, at least the way I'm understanding it, is by having remarks from the audience being under communication and then having it one more time before legislation. We're not limiting the person to just talking about legislation. They can talk about legislation, they could talk about committee reports, they can talk about whatever.
So-
If they have a question about pending legislation that is going to be coming up tonight, like that silly street sign that's going to be at the end of a driveway, they can talk about that and make their pitch why they feel that's stupid. And we're hearing about that before we vote. But if they want to talk about the committee report where safety had a comment about whatever, they can go back and talk about that. So we're not going to say remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation. It's just remarks from the audience. They have the freedom to talk forward and backward.
So after we vote on legislation, citizens usually have the opportunity to poll council on how they voted. So if we don't have a section where it's remarks from the audience as it pertains to legislation, it removes that opportunity for citizens.
When you're saying poll, what do you mean poll?
So if I am a citizen and Joe Smo wants the stop sign at the end of their driveway, they go, yes, 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 no. Sometimes as a citizen, they have the opportunity to come up to council and say, can I poll the members of council to ask them how or why they voted a certain way? I'm just asking for clarification. Are we adding a third or moving it to the communication? Are we adding, are we moving, are we eliminating?
I was under the understanding we're moving to where we would still have
Okay.
two.
So we're
And
moving
then-
remarks from number 9
Yes.
to communication.
Yes.
So, and we're keeping what is typically not on our
Yes.
things here, legislation, remarks from the audience pertaining to legislation after we vote.
That's
You're
not-
moving it to before we vote.
Yes.
So that's why I was understanding.
So we're still having two public times that they get to speak. One is going to be after communications, and one is going to be before we vote.
And there will be no more chances for a audience member to speak after we vote.
They can come at the next council meeting.
Okay. Just asking for
All right.
record clarity.
Any
Thank
other
you.
things for this section? Okay. So are we saying we're good with all 7? Because that takes us up to 9, page 9, with 8 being motions.
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb?
it's not a change. I just wanted to point out, I know there was a mention before of the whole roll call thing, and it's actually addressed in 7.3. I can't remember if that was Ms. Alexander or Ms. Curitan, but it is already addressed.
Okay.
So we're good there.
Okay. And then where I was stating about executive session, where would be a good place to talk about that?
Madam President,
Hold on, Ms. Claire, unless you're answering my question?
I wanted to address what Ms. Zorb said about roll call real quick. This is specifically roll call as it pertains to attendance, not roll call as it pertains to our vote, correct?
That's what I interpret that as.
Okay,
yes.
I just wanted to clarify because
Attendance.
this
Yes.
is attendance.
Yes,
Okay.
that's, yes. Your ability to vote.
Right.
Okay, so as I stated again, we were talking about executive session. Is there a place where we can speak of that real quick? Because we're getting to the point here where we're going to be getting into committees, and then we're done. And I want to make sure a couple of issues have been addressed. So I'll just address it then. Historically, when I was on council, executive session was on council meetings. And now it can be on council meetings, it can be on committee meetings. And I feel like it is inappropriate for it to be on committee meetings because, let's say for instance, you have all your committees in one evening, which we now do. And for whatever reason, one of those committees canceled. So it takes a chance of somebody who is not there that night to not be able to be included in executive session. An executive session should be inclusive to everyone that's on council, including president of council, because I do break ties. So I feel like that needs to be addressed in the rules of council when executive session should be held.
Madam President?
I'm sorry, can we restate the Madam President?
I did.
Okay, sorry. Please project, because
I
sometimes
thought
you're
I
sounding,
said it's really close to the microphone that
because
time.
sometimes you're sounding very, I don't know, go on.
So during certain committee meetings, when we do have an executive session, we do include all members of council. And secondly, yes, there have been times where council members are not present, but that would still hold to if Mr. Davis wasn't at a council meeting and we still had the executive session, he still wouldn't be present during that. So I don't know how we prevent a person not being present if they're not present during regular meetings or during committee meetings. Council meetings, committee meetings sometimes host executive sessions to discuss things that are within that committee, but that can't be publicly discussed.
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin?
I actually think and agree with you that anytime we have executive session, typically, historically, it is for all of council, not just for those who sit on said committee. So I would agree that we would only want to move forward with having executive sessions during council meetings, not a special meeting, not a committee meeting, not an ad hoc meeting, only council meetings.
Madam
President.
Hold on, real quick. I do want to, whoa. Let's back up the bus just a second. Now, there's going to be times, now, like I said, when I was doing this before, there were times where, like, something would come up where an emergent situation, where we would have to call a special meeting. And that special meeting would have to discuss certain things with the city, then there would have to go into an executive session, and then we would come back out and we'd make a vote. And, sometimes pertaining to the result of the executive session, and we adjourn and go home. So I'm in agreement with you, Ms. Curtin, up until where you said special meetings, because there's times where, because if we're
Exclude that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're taking away the committee meetings, we got to have something to work, because there is times where there's emergent things coming from the city where we have a problem. We have a legal issue that just popped up.
Let me rephrase that. It's only exclusive to council meetings and special meetings, not inclusive of ad hoc, committee, or any other set meeting type.
Madam President.
Madam,
Wait, hold on.
Mr. Davis was next.
Yes.
Thank you for helping me keep track, because especially that one time it was like, Mr. Davis.
Yeah. So from recent experience in regards to executive sessions during committee meetings, it's been because of a time sensitive or an emergent situation where that's a matter of okay, there's a deadline on a contract, or there's something that needs to be done, and the majority of council is there. Let's transact the business now, and let's not let council be what impedes the progress of getting city business done. So it's one of those where if I happen to not be there, I happen to not lose 6-1. I'm not me personally. I don't want to be seen as what's the barrier from getting city business done. This seems to be more of a, these executive sessions seem to be more of an asset as opposed to a hindrance.
So let me interject one thing because like I said, I don't want to get too much in the weeds in this, because I know we all have plans today and we got a little bit more to do. We're like right now.
Plans are already in the second half.
I'm seeing the sunlight at the end of the thing here, okay? But where I'm coming from is that you said a majority of council. I feel like this should be inclusive to everybody. And if is an emergent situation, I am very respectful of that, but I feel like that is where we would have to call a special meeting. And
Madam
that
President.
we officially would call a special meeting. We would come here, we'd get all together, and we would do the whole process.
Madam
I feel-
President.
Hold on.
Okay.
I think I was after him.
Okay.
I feel like when we are in a committee meeting, it's a different atmosphere. It is something that it's almost like a workshop. You're here, you're working on, let's say, the budget. Okay. Now, for instance, I was in the audience, and because we're all in the audience before we came up here, and I saw y'all go back to executive session. Okay, and that's fine, and it was during a council meeting. But then I heard the city administrator say, "I'm going to hold what I was going to say in executive session for committee, and have it my executive session during committee, when it could have been held here all together." My thing is that what I think we need to spend our executive sessions more, because that wasn't what the situation I came across was, not an emergent situation. Neither one of those things, the way it was called, because like I said, I have no idea other than the way it was called. And what I overheard her state was emergent. So my thing is what I witnessed, there was no reason to split that off and wait for a committee meeting.
May I rebuttal that, Madam President?
I was.
So
Hold on. Go ahead, real quickly. Yes.
there's, especially for budget and finance, there's things discussed such as salary and contract agreements. That is why budget and finance typically is the committee that has the executive sessions. Those things cannot be discussed publicly, and we do have to discuss them in committee before we can move them to council floor. So that is the reason we need to continue to have those executive sessions during those committee meetings. It is not always just for for emergent reasons. Sometimes we just, like we just did, our contract our
Firefighters.
firefighter. Thank you. I was trying to think of the IAFF and the FOP. We have those contracts and guidelines to discuss in executive session during Budget and Finance Committee, or even salaries or even hirings. If we limit those discussions to council and not during committee, they will really expand our council meetings and really limit the city to being able to conduct business, because sometimes those contracts are on expiration timeframes. So we need to get them done by a certain time frame.
Ms. Claire?
Madam President, can I get in line after Ms. Claire?
And I'll get in
Thank
line
you.
after her.
Historically, those topics are always discussed every year in an executive session as part of a regular council meeting. The only reason that, budget and finance is involved is when you're trying to calculate the numbers to come up with the budget. But historically, those specific topics were not the property of only the Budget and Finance Committee. Council decides staffing levels and, as a whole. And so and the budget as a whole, so in the contracts and things like that, yes, there are elements that relate to budget and finance, but council as a whole are the decision makers for those things. And historically, those discussions were had in executive session because some of these negotiations are sensitive. But just because there's a dollar sign involved does not mean it necessarily lives in budget and finance at that moment in time. It's always been part of either a committee of the whole or a special council meeting with everyone present, or an executive session that takes place during the council meeting. So because the contents of executive sessions are to remain confidential, that's why all of council is involved with those conversations, whether or not you happen to be a member of the Budget and Finance Committee specifically.
Madam President.
Ms. Dorr?
So, I just want to kind of expand a little bit on what Ms. Clear said, because I agree with everything she said. But to add more to that is, if by chance we have an executive session during a committee meeting, not only are there individuals that are not included and therefore do not have that information, now when we get to a council meeting and it's time to vote, now we have to have another executive session to include those people, otherwise they don't know what the heck we're voting on. So we have to have another executive session anyhow. So what's the point in having the first one during a committee meeting? We have to, whether you are on a committee or not, you have to have that information in order to make an informed decision. So the executive session, I feel, should only happen during a council meeting. And if you're not there, then that's on you. But at least you had the opportunity to be in that executive session. That's how I feel.
Ms. Alexander?
Piggybacking off of that, and just like how we were reading how a pro tem can be a tiebreaker, if traditionally during the committee meetings, the president doesn't have to be there. So if an executive session has occurred, he doesn't know. If you're not, or he or she, or if, say, like budget and finance, if I haven't looked, since I'm not on the committee, if I haven't looked on that agenda to know that there's going to be an executive session, or somebody amends the agenda or something like that, I don't know to race up here because there's going to be an executive session. And then, like Ms. Zorb said, I come to the council meeting,
And no one can talk to you.
and they can't talk to me about it. And now they have to play catch up once they do another executive session. So we kind of, we're kind of circling around, because like I said, the president is not required to come to committee meetings. And that might fall into a place where they have to be a tiebreaker at an actual council meeting.
And this is where I'm coming from, that we need to spend our executive sessions more wisely. And also, we need to be more respectful of the fact that, like we were saying before, majority, or it's just the committee, it's actually the whole council that is voting on a subject. and it may be potentially where the president needs to break a tie. So just to put, a thing here, I state that we add into the rules of council that executive sessions are only to be called during council meetings or a special meeting,
A special.
council meeting. All right,
Madam
now,
Chair.
Madam Chair. Where are you putting that?
we can add it to, we were in 7. I was trying to look for a good place to put it. But since 7 was talking about the agenda, where things fall, that's, I guess, where the best place I could find for it. But if somebody has a better idea, but 7, it's somewhere in 7 was where the last place I can find home.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Nichols?
I read it, I saw it before, but I would just ask the council look at the ORC section 121.22, the public meetings exceptions. If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to find the other one, I could not find it. There are exceptions in a public meeting, any public meeting could allow for one.
Okay, thank you.
So just, we probably want to double check this with our law director, who before, I believe, told the mayor can't call an executive session, neither can the city administrator. So I believe at one point, he is the one who told us that we could have them during committee meetings.
Just
So
because we can doesn't mean we should.
You're right.
And also, when I was on council before, he was also our law director, and we also only had them on council meetings.
I'm only referring back to what was stated
I got
per
you.
our law director. Again, the Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22.
Thank you. Ms. Curtin?
I was actually going to say what she said and what you said. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. However, if we are able to move to the next topic, I wanted to go back to 7.8. I think it states, communication from members shall be directed to the city administrator's office for follow-up. That's fine. Requests for information from members other than for the resolution of routine constituent matters shall go to the city administrator instead of directly to the department heads. I have a question about that.
Sure. What is your question?
Let me finish the statement. Basic information that does not evolve or require a memorandum or a report may be requested directly by a member to the city administrator or his or her office. Notwithstanding the above, committee chairs may have direct contact with department directors regarding matters related to the committee's jurisdiction. So I just want to make sure that is stating that if I have a question for a director in the city, if I sit on that committee, I can go directly to that director.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, after her. President.
I'm sorry,
It's fine.
Madam
It gets-
President.
Clarification is what I'm looking for
I understand.
from our president of council.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Gaston?
So really quickly, because I do want to hear the answer from Ms. Curitan's statement, but did we put the executive session somewhere? Did I miss that?
Well, Ms. Curitan was very excited to get to this section, so I'm not sure. Let's double check. Ms. Clear, did you add that in to a nice little nesting place in 7? Did you find a good spot?
Council agenda,
Yeah, I can put it under the agenda and then,
7.7.
yeah.
7.7.
So just make it 7.7 then?
Or 7, yeah.
Is that the correct numbering?
Yes.
7.7A.
Sorry, I was just going with Miss Alexander.
And you guys just want executive session to be called during council meetings or by a council committee of the whole?
No, that's not what I said. I wanted to make sure that executive sessions are only to be held, not called. Because there's
okay.
going to be times where they're called and it's going to be something to where it's delivered at your what I'm stating there.
Can be conducted.
Right, it's to be conducted during council meetings or special council meetings.
Okay, I gotcha.
Thank you for asking for clarification on that.
No problem.
Ms. Clear, did you have a question after that?
I was going to respond to provide some context for, I think, Ms. Curitan.
Let's make sure this one's covered, and then
Sure.
we'll go back to that. Are you okay, Ms. Clear?
I'm good now, thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, Ms. Clear.
Thank you. So the language that's right here in section 7.8 is pulled almost verbatim from the charter section 6.04, which relates to the administrator's relation to council and how that relationship works. Essentially, what my understanding is that it's to kind of put a line of delineation. City staff do not report to us.
Correct.
And that's what this, I think, is trying to say. We can ask some questions about things that our committees are working on. But we, other than like, hey, I had a, I can talk to Mr. Reuter in Public Works, there's a resident on my street was asking about a tree or whatever. That's fine. That's a routine constituent concern, kind of a thing. But the city staff don't report to us, so let's say, for example, I'm on the recreation committee. I don't dictate what the recreation director does. That's not my job. Okay. But if the recreation director needs something from me as a council member, that can happen, but in terms of assigning tasks, setting priorities, that goes through city administrator. That does not go through committee. And that's, I think, what this is trying to clarify. I can ask the director, hey, if you want to provide a report to this committee for us, so that it helps us make a decision that helps your department. But I think that's what that's kind of clarifying.
Madam President.
But
So-
it's almost pulled directly from the charter language.
So let me ask a clarification. This might need to go to Ms. Nichols. So when it comes to, let's say, for instance, I'm on finance, but I'm not the chair. I'm just on finance. And I have a question for the finance director. And for whatever reason, I can't get hold of the finance chair. I'm just off the cuff. I have a question. Or I need a certain paperwork that I just thought of off the cuff that I would like to look at. Am I able to contact the finance director directly to ask for that if I am not the chair?
And historically, that has not been the practice. The practice has been that you are to contact the city administrator, and they are supposed to contact the finance manager, recreation manager, public works, whomever.
Okay, but I
That
don't,
has historically been the practice since I've been here.
so, but it doesn't have to go through the chair of that committee. It can come from anybody on that committee, can go to the city manager, and then they
Yes,
act as the
because
intermediary.
the chair may not have that issue, or that
But they will find it.
they may not have that, they may not know that question or have the answer to it.
But they will find
But
the
that's
answer.
up to that committee how they want to conduct and get their answer. So maybe one of the committee members has a question and they want the answer themselves. It's like you're at home, it's an aha moment. Oh, I wonder what this is. It's not anything that the whole committee, it's just something personally that you may want to know. Email the city administrator and they will contact.
That's what I was asking. So you don't
Yes.
have to go, that's why I was just trying to get clarification before we go further. So if I had a question, I was just a committee
That's up to
member.
that committee and the committee chair, how you run your committee.
But it's not where it's
I
hard
didn't, I've
line
never
that-
read anything that says that you have to go to the committee chair or co-chair to get your question answered, because people all the time have questions and they email. Some people go outside of it, email them directly. Now, if they answer, I'm not always privy to that or not. A lot of times people, if it's just a quick something, they may answer or don't feel a need. But if it's in depth, hey, I got this email. So I think the practice that we're asking now, if you have that question, you can copy the city administrator.
So I can contact the director of the
And copy
person
the
and
city
CC the administrator. I don't have to just go through the administrator. I can go.
That's what, from the previous meetings, from what I've been hearing, the conversation that we had, I've heard Ms. Dukestein say, now in the past, it was go directly to the city administrator. But I've heard her at the last few meetings say, you can copy me. and anyone else can contest to that. I mean, they've heard her say, you can copy me.
Ms. Cureton, does that give you any clarification?
No.
Okay, go further.
So it states the final sentence, notwithstanding the above, committee chairs may have direct contact with department directors regarding matters related to the committee's jurisdiction. So what I see is that being is if person A is the chair of CCDR, that person can talk to recreation, or if it's something related to the finances, that person can talk to the finance director, or if it's related to safety, that person can talk to the chief. That's how I interpret that. Additionally, Ms. Dukestein may request that council CCs her, but I don't interpret that respectfully as a mandate for council. I see as that just being an extra layer of communication for her. But if we are following our rules state that the committee chairs may have direct contact with department directors regarding matters related to the committee's jurisdiction. In addition to that, I believe that if a party, a member sits on a committee, I believe there should be a funnel system where the committee member should contact their committee chair and permit their chair to be in communication with whatever said question there is, versus it being 1, 2, 3, whoever, and everybody's asking, and sometimes it could be the same question asked by 8 different people. So to avoid that, to avoid any department head from being inundated, allow a funnel system for the chair to ask questions, and council respectfully go to their chair to get questions answered. That allows us to work more effectively, efficiently, and build better communication, but not to necessarily dismiss what Ms. Dukestein is requesting, not requiring, but requesting.
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester, I think you were first.
So the mayor first.
I think where Ms. Cureton, where all of this came in, is that section that Ms. Clear referred to, section 6.04, council, city administrator relations. This one piece in there that says neither the council nor its committees or members shall give any orders to any subordinate of the city administrator. So when you say give any orders, that means this is just my interpretation, so you know what that means. Everybody's interpretation is different. Any orders, hey, can you give me, or can you send me, or do you have, that's an order, depending on the recipient, right? Well, they email me and ask me for this. So I think that's where that came into play, where you have to go through the city administrator, just from that one sentence in that section of the charter.
Madam
Madam
Mayor,
President.
Madam Mayor, could I ask you to keep reading a little bit further, though, where it says, that same exact paragraph, it says.
Council may,
however.
Inquire
Yeah.
into the conduct of any office or department, the performance of any contract, or any of the affairs of the city. Council may, in the exercise of such power, compel or authorize a committee to compel the attendance and testimony of witnesses and the production of books, paper, and evidence under penalty of law. So, again, my interpretation, you would do that through the city administrator. It doesn't clarify, it doesn't say that there, but my interpretation is that because it was a relationship between the council and city administration. So to me, that means that relationship, any interaction, anything that's needed, that's between the council and.
Madam President.
Madam President, I'll go
Real
after.
quick, I think Ms. Chichester was first.
You may move on.
Okay, Ms. Cureton?
So I'm looking parallel with our charter and our rules. And the final sentence on our charter is in alignment with the final sentence on our rules. The final sentence on our charter, 6.04, council, city administration, administrative relations. Council may, in the exercise of such power, compel or authorize a committee. No, that's not what I wanted to read. one step up. Council may, however, inquire into the conduct of any office or department, the performance of any contract, and this is what I want to highlight, or any of the affairs of the city. So I interpret that if I have a question regarding the affairs, finances, recreation, safety, whatever it could be, I can inquire into that directly with the director. In parallel with the council rules, notwithstanding the above, committee chairs may have direct contact with department directors regarding matters related to the committee's jurisdiction. So I believe this might just be a matter of interpretation. Madam President, I would like for you to make a final decision on what you believe this should stay, change, or how we should move forward.
Ms. Clear?
Thank you. Just to kind of layer onto that, and I am going to go there. I was very recently a department head. There were times that I felt like I had 8 different bosses. It was exhausting. So there was a process by which the communication channels need to go, not only to avoid giving contradictory instructions or requests to city staff, but also to maintain professionalism. I mean, even in your place of business, if you're on a project team and you need something from a different department, yeah, you can sure go ahead and ask that person, but that person already has a workload. They have priorities. They have tasks that were given to them by their boss. And it is appropriate professionally to include the boss in that discussion as a professional courtesy, and in this case, that's the city administrator. Especially if there are priorities and tasks and things going on, day-to-day operations that we are not privy to, right? So, for example, having the calendar of activities, right? That's already been approved. Calendar, mayor looked at it, administrator looks at it, that's our calendar. So it's not appropriate, in my opinion, to say, all right, we're going to add this and this and this, without having that go through the administrator to ensure that that's something that can be absorbed, that can be done. I mean, it could be rental registrations, it could be anything. We have to, it's just a matter of professional communication and not overburdening city staff with 6 or 8 different people telling them what to do.
Madam
I think
Chair.
that's the gist of what's going on here. Yeah, but asking for a report in a council meeting once a month, I don't think that's egregious or something like that. But there does come up a line where, as a staff person, it's like, who am I supposed to be taking direction from here? And that's where it gets confusing and people get burned out. And I'm just throwing that out there.
Real quick, Ms. Chichester.
Absolutely. I was just going to say I agree with Ms. Clear. I don't think it's appropriate for us to have to go to our committee chair and then we not go to their chair, boss, administrator, or in order to get certain questions. It just, like she says, it creates a headache for staff because then they start to feel obligated to appease us, and we do not want to create that culture.
Okay. Does anyone to the left have anything to say on this? Because I'm feeling heavy on this side.
Madam Chair, I just want to be cognizant. Sometimes when people message, email, or reach out, it can be intimidating. So I think that it is important. I'm going to use my boss name. If somebody needs something from me, they CC my supervisor. Not like a tattletale type thing, but just so that there's just that streamline of communication. So I just want to be cognizant that sometimes when you see a city council member's name pop up, some people may feel intimidated. So I suggest that if we do communicate, however we communicate that respectfully, the city administrator is CC'd, not necessarily for her to respond or answer for them, but so that she is aware that council is requesting something. That's all I have.
Okay, so just to kind of put a little 2 cents in here before we move on, is the thing I would like to change on this is at the end of there, it says committee chairs may have direct contact with department directors. So to kind of sum everything up, Ms. Nichols stated that she recognizes that part, but that really should go through the city administrator CC'd. So my thing is, I'm okay. I feel okay with the part of, like, say, if I wanted to if I'm I want to contact the finance director, I CC Ms. Dukestein, so that there's coverage.
And if I could, just for
Can-
the reason that Ms.
Excuse
Gaston
me.
just said.
Excuse me. Well, let me get out what I'm saying real quick. I'm just saying for coverage sake. So let's say I have a question for the finance director, and she can't cover it, whatever, coverage-wise, it would be pertinent to also include her boss. Like you were stating, Ms. Gaston, about having, where it's almost like a chain of command. You know what I'm saying? So that they're aware of, like Ms. Clear was saying, they have a workload. And that we got to be respectful of their workload, and we also don't want to freak them out. If we're in the middle of an audit, do they need 6 million requests for the budget line items? I get all that. The only thing I would like to change on this is take out committee chairs may have direct contact. I think that should be any council, not just committee chairs. And where it says direct contact with department directors, I think that at least is covered in the interaction with the city administrator. We already have a working thing where now she is asking to be CC'd. That seems to be working for her. Is it working for her, Ms. Nichols?
You have to ask her.
But it's seeming so. So let's keep it at that, but I don't think it should just be committee chairs that are allowed to have that communication. Like you stated before, I think we might have lost a little bit in the time we were talking about it, but I was under the understanding that if anyone on finance, not just the chair, wanted to talk, they could talk, go through the city administrator and get an answer. So I say we just take out the committee chair and make it all council. Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Real quick.
Madam
Clarification.
President.
Yes.
Are you saying anyone a part of a committee can email the department head? Or are you saying anybody a part of that committee can email Ms. Dukestein? I'm sorry, not Ms., but the city administrator. So I'm just asking for clarification because it might,
Anyone part of
conflict
that
with certain
council
ORCs.
committee
mm-hmm,
can contact, because it states here already in the rules
mm-hmm.
that that the committee chair may have direct contact with department directors regarding matters related to their committee's
Right.
jurisdiction. It's already in those rules.
Right. Some,
What I'm stating is that it shouldn't just be the committee chairs. It can be anyone on that committee. But we already have a withstanding work process, right? Like a SOP. We have a work process where Ms. Dukestein has already stated to council that she wants to be CC'd, that you can contact that person, that director of that director of finance, that director of you know what I'm saying, and CC her. That's what I'm saying, because that process has already been established. Ms. Zorb, I'm getting eyebrows.
Yeah, you're really, I feel like I'm being handcuffed because if I'm not on, I'll say public safety now, I can't reach out to the police chief or I can't reach out to the fire chief because I'm not on that committee?
So leave it to council, not council members part of that committee.
Yeah, I don't know why I would have to be on a committee in order to talk to reach out and ask a question that sounds like I'm being handcuffed.
Okay, so.
Madam Chair.
One second.
Can I just even add to this? Again, we're way in the weeds. Can we just say refer to the charter, section 6.04
Yes,
and be
that's
done?
That's fine.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Moving on to motions. This should be pretty cut and dry. I do want to interject something real quick here, and it's not something that really needs to go in here, but just to keep a just people's eyeball on it. I've noticed in the past people have used the motion call the question. Just a reminder that is a motion that takes a roll call. So if we call the question, it needs a first and a second, and then a roll call. All right. So, any other issues with motions?
Madam President,
Sorry, can we do the Madam President again?
Madam President, that was me.
Okay, Ms. Sorb, you're getting softer.
I was actually looking the other way and thinking about whatever. Do we have that in like, is that in Robert's Rules of Order?
It is.
Can, offline, can you show that to me?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Clerk.
Madam President, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not sure if it's in this section or in the section that pertains to voting, but whenever there is a roll call, I know it's kind of been inconsistent over the years of whether or not they record who were the yays and who were the nays. I think especially if it's a divided vote, for the sake of the public and for transparency, we need to know how people voted. And that was to a point that she was saying earlier, Ms. Chichester. It's okay to record, yes, 6 people were in favor and 1 was opposed, but I want to know who voted no. Because that might affect me as a citizen saying, you know what, I might agree with that one person, and next time they're up for re-election, I'm going to vote for them because we think alike, right? So it's a matter of providing a layer of transparency to the public. And I know in years past, sometimes they have, but in certain years they don't. It's just not consistent. Wherever that is in the rules, I don't know where that is, but when there is a roll call vote, I think we should state how that vote went down by name.
Ms. Clear, but there is ICRC where they can see how they voted.
Madam President?
Yeah.
ICRC is a courtesy to the public. It is not the official record. That is a courtesy to the public. The official record are the votes and the minutes, and that should reflect what actually took place in the meeting in terms of the vote.
Madam President.
Madam President.
Ms. Curtin actually first, right?
Go ahead.
Ms. Chichester?
I agree with Ms. Clear. That's all I was going to state, that it should reflect our names, yay, nay, and then pass, fail.
Madam President?
Ms. Zorb?
So I would agree, not only should the minutes capture that, but I think the legislation should too.
Yes.
And I've noticed that some legislation, it's listed on there, and some legislation, it's not. I think we need to be more consistent in that. And I don't know if that means we need to put it in here, like in, did I miss it? I don't feel well, so,
Section 6.4 has
thank
roll
you.
call.
6.4. I was thinking maybe if there was something in here about the minutes, but we could just do it under roll call vote, yeah. Is that something that? Perfect.
And add that in.
That would work.
Done. Thank
Okay,
you.
that would work for me. All right, so anything before we get to, we've talked all about motions, ordinances and resolutions.
Madam President,
Ms. Kiernan?
just want to get clarification on 9.3 suspensions. I understood it to always be 2/3. This says 6. Is that how we are moving forward?
It's 6.
6, that's in the charter.
That is
So-
in the charter. Okay.
So it says yeah, so.
2/3 is crossed out.
Yeah, let's, can we erase 2/3, Ms. Clear, and just leave it 6? I don't know why it says 2/3 6. Anything else?
9.3.
Are we 2 committees?
One moment, please. At least for me. Madam President,
Ms. Kiernan?
looking at 9.7, final sentence that states resolution may be drawn at the request of the mayor any member, a committee, the city, well, I feel like that's dual, the city administrator, a board or commission, or a department director. Has there ever been, and maybe you don't know, but I don't know if we want resolution to be able to be drawn up by such a wide variety of people, especially since you don't have to live in North College Hill to work in North College Hill. So let's just say there's someone who is the department director, they work here, but they will not necessarily be impacted by the resolution or the ordinance that's drawn up.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
if you're complete, are you? Yes.
Okay.
So this situation actually happened when I was a department head. By coincidence, I live here, but there was a grant that needed to be applied for with the state of Ohio, and it required a resolution specific to authorize council to commit to the project. As the department head, I took the language that the state of Ohio provided, and I drew up the draft legislation that then went to Mr. Dieters for review. So in that instance, there are certain circumstances where department directors can draft legislation or request that legislation be drafted. It's ultimately up to council to approve it. So there's your checks and balances with regard to somebody who may not live here. But there are definitely circumstances where department heads need to propose or draft or request to be drafted specific types of legislation.
Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
so I would agree with Ms. Claire. I've seen many scenarios where that has occurred. Maybe we put something in there, we add something that it's also reviewed by the law director.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, let's do that.
Madam President, so that would go in Section 8 as well as Section 9, because 8 is resolutions and 9 is ordinances.
Ms.
Or the
Clear?
other way around.
Other
Well,
way,
maybe
yeah.
something like that. No, it's 8 and never mind. I misspoke. I retract what I just said.
Okay. Anyone else in section 9? Pushing for 10. Are we to 10? Okay, we're to 10. Okay, so the way I was planning on doing this section is that this is the point where we are going to appoint committee chairs and vice chairs and people who are going to be on the committee. Once you become chair, and if you want to tweak your committee, if you want to add something, if you want to rehab it a bit, and it's going to be something that changes it to a part, submit that in writing to us, and we can amend the rules.
Sorry, did I unplug?
We can amend the rules to add to your section so that it's in writing. But for tonight, this section, we are just going to use for appointing our committee chairs, vice chairs, and assigning who's going to be on those committees. And that's all we're going to do with this section.
Okay.
All right? So do I hear any motions?
Madam President,
Can we do a replay? Sorry.
yep, I'll go. I would like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Mary Jo Zorb for Chair of Budget and Finance.
Madam President,
Madam President. Oh, go ahead.
Ms. Cureton?
I second.
So I have a motion from Ms. Gaston and a secondary motion from Ms. Cureton to make Ms. Zorb Chair of Finance. Discussion.
Madam President.
Ms. Chichester.
Historically, there was a issue where Budget and Finance had transparency issues when Ms. Zorb was Chair of Budget and Finance and was removed. And I think in order to prevent history, I think that would not be a solid move. And if you want me to elaborate, I will.
So you're stating that Ms. Zorb was removed as Chair of Finance.
Absolutely, yes.
Ms.
Madam
Zorb-
President,
That did
Ms.
not
Zorb,
occur.
would you like to counter?
Yeah, that did not occur.
You were never removed.
I was never, there was a time that I was not on council. There was a short stint that I was not on council. When I was not on council, someone else was appointed chair. I
But
was
you were never, there
removed.
was never a formal action by council to remove you as Chair of Finance.
There is
that you were
nothing in
aware
my
of.
memory that comes to mind, no.
Ms. Chichester?
Madam Chair, may I elaborate?
Sure. If you remain with decorum.
Absolutely. So, under the leadership of Ms. Zorb during the Budget and Finance Chair, there was a $84,000 discrepancy with the 2016 Hinkle and reporting, properly reporting or communicating that to council or to the city. That is the instance in where she, I believe, for historical preferences, she may have been removed or stepped down. Unfortunately, the files and the meeting minutes from that meeting is not available. And
Okay.
then also will ask, since there are other members here for historical reference, could possibly speak to what I'm referring to if they were present at the time.
So you're stating, Ms. Chichester, that she was removed due to a discrepancy. She did not communicate with anyone else.
Absolutely, she did not
And
bring
there
that to
is
me.
no backup to your claim at all.
Absolutely, there is. There is the 2016, 2017 Hinkle. I have that documentation that I can bring.
No, I meant there's no documentation that she was removed.
For unfortunately, the meeting minutes from that council meeting cannot be located.
Madam President.
Ms. Curie, I think
Madam
you were next.
President.
thank you so much, Madam President. So, in the most respectful and honorable way, today is January 3rd, 2026. From what I'm hearing, you're referencing something from 10 years ago. I am asking you, Madam President, to not allow unverifiable information, things that are opinionated, to not be stated as factual on record unless there is 1000% proof of said statement, accusation, or whatever we're calling it.
Madam-
If in fact, one moment, Ms. Chichester.
I just wanted to, sorry.
Mhm. If in fact the findings are true, again, this is 10 years ago. Today is January 3rd, 2026. So I want us to consider as we move forward, a new day, a new dawn, new city, that I've made mistakes, and as an accountant 10 years ago, I'm sure I have. But that does not negate my effectiveness, my ability, and efficiency to perform the duties and the jobs of an accountant professionally.
Okay. Ms. Chichester, you may say something very quickly here.
Absolutely. I do have documentation and proof that I can bring to the city council meeting.
That is not the Hinkle.
I know it's not the Hinkle. What I'm saying is she failed to perform her duties to the city during that time frame. She failed to notify citizens of the $84,000 discrepancy. She also failed. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to speak on that part. Let's just speak
Madam President,
1 second. Are you done, Ms. Chichester?
Absolutely, I will yield.
Madam
Sorry.
President.
so,
Ms. Zorb, you went first.
yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm hearing a bunch of malarkey about my reputation, which I am trying to maintain my decorum right now.
I appreciate that.
First of all, there was an $84,000 discrepancy, and it was 10 years ago. I want to point out what the chair of finance does. And the chair of finance doesn't find the $84,000. The chair of finance doesn't fill out the Hinkle report. That is all on the city administration. It is all on the finance director. And that person is the one who has to come to us and tell us that there's an $84,000 discrepancy. How would I ever know that unless that report was filled out and given to us?
Madam Chair.
Madam President.
if
Ms.
this
Gatt-
is the
I
duties.
call the
Ex-
question. I
ex-
call the question.
Okay, number one, let me just interject here. I maintain that we have to work together. And we have to maintain decorum. And when I'm saying decorum, this is what this is. This is what I mean. Ms. Chichester, you came off right off the gambit saying she was removed, but you cannot prove that she was removed. Then I asked you furthermore about it, and all you just mentioned the Hinkle. So, because there's parts, we spent hours today going over this council rules, and it talks of decorum, about disparaging remarks, about all this stuff, because we're here for the city.
Madam Chair.
I'm not done talking. We got to make sure that when we are making accusations,
Facts.
I call the question.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Madam President, I second.
Ms. Alexander?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
She
sorry.
seconded.
I have a motion for Ms. Gaston. I have a motion for Ms. Curitin. That's a
second.
second. Sorry, I apologize. I have a secondary from Ms. Curitin for call the question. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Absolutely.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitin,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
No.
Motion passed 6-1.
All right, so I have a motion on the floor to appoint Ms. Zorb as Chair of Finance. And I'm sorry, a lot has happened before that motion. Can I have a who
was
said it and who seconded it?
Gaston first, Curitin second.
All right. So we have a first, we have a second. May we have roll call?
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitin,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
No.
Motion passed 6-1.
Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Wait.
No, go ahead.
So we will need a vice chair.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Kathy Curitin as co-chair for Budget and
As
Finance.
vice chair.
You said
Vice
it's
chair.
vice chair.
Vice chair.
Do we have a second?
I do that all the time.
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry.
That was me.
Oh, okay. See, I'm telling you, it's when it's coming from the side, I'm not sure who it's coming from. Yes. Ms.
I
Chichester.
second Ms. Curitin being Vice Chair of Budget and Finance.
Excellent. So I have a motion on the floor, from Ms. Gaston with a second from Ms. Chichester to make Ms. Curitin Vice Chair of Finance. Roll call?
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitin,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, typically, how many people are on this committee? 5?
Madam Chair, or President, I believe the rules just say there's a minimum of 3 people on each committee.
Okay.
There is no maximum stated, but I don't believe that there's a statutory membership other than a minimum of 3 for
Who wants to
any
be-
council member.
Who
council
wants to be
committee.
on this?
Madam Chair, I would like to be a
Chichester?
member of the Budget and Finance Committee.
Excellent.
Madam Chair, I would like to remain on Budget and Finance.
Okay, do I have anybody else? Okay, so I make a motion. I have a motion. I'm just feeling the emotion. Can I hear a motion? Sorry,
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Gaston and Ms. Chichester to the Budget and Finance Committee.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right, so I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Sorb and a second from Ms. Gaston to appoint Ms. Chichester and Ms. Gaston to the Finance Committee. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitin,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester. Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, moving swiftly along. We have public safety.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Kathy Curitan as Chair of Public Safety Committee.
Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
I'd like to second.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston with a second from Ms. Alexander to appoint Ms. Curitan as Chair of Safety. Roll call?
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion
Madam-
passed 7-0.
Madam President,
Ms. Curitan.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Brandon Davis as the Vice Chair of Public Safety.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Madam
Chair.
President,
I'm sorry, Madam President.
Ms. Gaston?
I second.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan and a second from Ms. Gaston to appoint Mr. Davis as the Vice Chair of Safety. Roll call?
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President,
1 second. I just want to put it out there before you state. You can state in 1 second. I want to make sure we get who wants to be on safety. So, were you going to state about people being on safety?
yes.
Go ahead.
I would like to make a recommendation that I am on rules and,
Oh, no. We wanna
I'm
talk
sorry,
about-
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, that's where I was like, hold on. Okay, who wants to be on safety? You're already on safety.
I was going to make a recommendation of who I would ask to be on safety and partnership.
Okay. Who are you gonna ask?
I would like to request for Ms. Alexander and Ms. Clear to sit on the committee, please.
Ms. Alexander, you
What
be
time
able
do
to?
they meet?
6:30.
6:30.
Okay. That's fine.
Ms. Clear, you cool? Okay.
Madam President,
Ms. Curitan.
gave me that look. I just want to make sure that as it currently sits, or how it's set over the past few years, that even though a member did not sit on a committee, they were always welcomed. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Great. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
They can always come visit. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan regarding who would be on the committee. Do I have a second?
Madam President.
Wait, do I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan who's going to be on the committee?
I don't
think I just assumed that.
I think
Does anybody, is there a motion on the floor regarding these two individuals being on safety?
Madam President, I would like to
I'm
make
feeling
a-
like I'm having a crick in my neck going to the
Yeah,
right here.
no problem. I don't mind. I'll make a motion that Marsha Alexander and Annalisa Clear are members of Public Safety Committee.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Madam President,
Ms.
I second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan and a second from Ms. Gaston to accept and Ms. Clear and Ms. Alexander onto the Safety Committee. Roll call?
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, now we're to City Community Development and Recreation.
Madam
Madam
President.
President,
Whoa, can we replay slow motion?
it was mashallah.
Ms. Alexander.
Sorry.
I would like to make a motion that Ms. Gaston become the chair of City Community and Development and Recreation.
Do I hear a second?
Madam President,
Ms.
I
Curitan?
second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Curitan to have Ms. Gaston be the chair of City Community Development and Recreation. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Do I hear a motion for a vice?
Madam Chair,
Wait, what was it?
it was
Sorry,
me.
Ms. Gaston.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Ms. Mashallah Alexander as Vice Chair.
Do I have a second?
Madam
Madam
President,
President,
Mr. Davis.
Mr. Davis?
I'll second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston with a second, see, I keep doing that, with a second motion. Why I'm having trouble?
It's late. It's time to go.
Just a second.
It's been a long meeting, guys. I really apologize. It's
You're
when it's
fine.
this.
Needs to be over.
Ahem. I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston with a second from Mr. Davis to appoint Ms. Alexander as Vice Chair of City, Community Development, and Recreation. Roll call.
Ms.
Sorry.
Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President, I would like to volunteer to serve on the City Community Development and Recreation Committee.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I second.
I don't know if that was a motion, I was throwing my name in the hat.
Oh.
But I can move for myself if that's allowed.
Well, do you want to change your motion?
Yes. Madam.
Does anyone else want to?
Can I?
Madam
Can I join the
President.
party?
Anybody can join the party.
Sure.
Y'all gotta be
Madam
fast.
President.
Okay, get out there.
Lordy, lordy.
The more the
My
merrier.
head's spinning.
Ms. Zorb, would you like to have a moment to give your opinion?
No, I don't have an opinion. I just want to join the party.
Well, join it.
I'd like to make a motion to add Ms. Clear and myself to the city and communication,
City
CCDR
community, yeah.
members. How's that?
Yeah.
Anybody
Madam
else?
President?
Mr.
Ma-
Davis?
Yes. I request to add myself and Ms. Chichester
Oh,
to
that's
City,
excellent.
City Community Development and Recreation.
All right, let me add up the list. We got Ms. Chichester, we got Mr. Davis, we've got Ms. Ms. Zorb.
I think that's everybody.
That is everybody.
Madam
So
President.
you have a popular committee.
Madam
So,
Madam President,
Ms.
I
Curie,
would also like to be a part of that committee.
you didn't want to be left out?
That is
I thought you was
all
in.
I thought you were part of it. Okay.
This may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm not in favor of a committee having all of us on it.
Yep.
I recluse myself.
I was going to withdraw myself
No,
if
you
no
stay.
one else did.
I'll go.
Okay, because it's almost a committee of the whole at that point.
At that point, it would become problematic. Yeah. So I think that there should at least be some variety and
I agree.
Okay,
So, Madam President, I
Madam
recluse myself from being a part of CCDR.
okay. So,
Madam President, so will I. And then
Okay.
they're too shy.
okay. Okay, so,
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester.
I was going to ask who all wants to stay on recreation because we had 3 people removed. So who, Marshall, are you?
Only two got removed.
Okay. Oh,
So I
We
was
still
gonna
have
I was
Chichester,
gonna
Davis,
restate
and Clear.
since
thank you,
everybody-
because I was like, I got
Because I was like, hold on, I was
confused, too.
scratching out and everything. So the way I have it stated is Ms. Clear, Ms. Chichester, Mr. Davis, and then the chair would be Ms. Gaston, and the vice chair would be Ms. Alexander. Okay, so that's just restating. So, did I have a motion,
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint myself, Brandon Davis, and Latanya Chichester to serve on the City Community Development and Recreation Committee.
Do I have a second?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Chichester?
I second.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Clear and a second from Ms. Chichester to add Ms. Clear, Ms. Chichester, and Mr. Davis to the City Community Development and Recreation Committee. Roll call.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, now we're to rules and public policy.
Madam Chair,
President.
Madam President,
I heard Ms. Curtin first.
I would like to recommend Ms. Annalisa Clear to be the Chair of Rules and Public Policy.
Do I have a second?
Madam Chair, I'll second.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan with a second from Ms. Chichester to nominate Ms. Clear as Chair of Rules and Public Policy Committee. Do I have a second? You seconded.
Yes,
right?
I did.
Okay. Sorry, just making sure it was a long meeting. So, roll call.
Ms. Sorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitin?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Chichester?
Yes,
Motion passed, 7-0.
Do we have a motion for a vice?
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester?
I would like to throw my hat in the ring for vice chair.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion for Ms. Chichester and a second for Mr. Davis to appoint Ms. Chichester as the Vice Chair of Rules and Public Policy Committee. Roll call?
Ms. Sorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitin?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Chichester?
Yes,
Motion passed, 7-0.
Okay, who wants to be on this committee?
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin?
I would like to be on Rules and Public Policy.
Okay. Anyone else? Not as popular as the other kids in town. Come on,
It's
this
the
is
readers,
this
the
is a cool
readers.
committee.
Nuts and bolts committee.
Okay. Well, what is the minimum that a committee has to have?
3.
Okay, so we got our minimum.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Zorb?
I'll join.
Okay. Join for the fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I presume, Madam President, I would like to nominate or motion for Kathy Curitin, myself, and Mary Jo Zorb to join the Rules and Public Policy Committee.
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
I'll second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitin and a second on the floor from Ms. Alexander to include Ms. Curitin and Ms. Zorb to be part of Rules and Public Policy Committee. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitin?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Chichester?
yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Okay, so real quick, I like I stated before, chairs and vice chairs. If you look at how your committee is listed in the rules here, and you want to tweak, you want to work on it, I suggest you get with your vice chair in the next upcoming weeks. And if you tweak it, we can always amend the rules to include your new verbiage. But I want to give you a chance to talk with your vice chair and see what you want to do, okay? All right, now, so I kind of like to say that would take us all the way to a certain thing here, but I do have a couple of things that need to be nuts and bolts that we need to add. Ms. Alexander, you mentioned a 12, didn't you? About the
Oh,
boards?
no, that was page 12 where I was saying that it
You said
started.
page 12?
Yeah, I was
Oh,
talking about
you let
page
me go.
12 and the committees.
You let me go way past. All right, so we're gonna have to backtrack because I didn't listen to Ms. Alexander. So we need to appoint liaisons to certain things. If we go to your council packet, it's listed under ad hoc committee member, not ad hoc, but it mentions like OKI.
Madam President,
It's clear.
I'd like to nominate myself as the liaison for OKI.
Madam President?
Ms. Clear, thank you for nominating yourself. Ms. Gaston?
I second.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Clear. I have a second from Ms. Gaston to appoint Ms. Clear as the representative to OKI. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb?
Yes.
Ms. Gaston?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Curitin?
Yes.
Ms. Clear?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Chichester?
Yes,
Motion passed, 7-0.
Okay, what about tree board?
Madam President,
Ms. Curitin?
I would like to nominate Mary Jo Zorb to be our delegate for the tree board.
Oh,
Oh,
I do.
Ms. Orb?
I decline that offer.
okay. I thought you loved the pawpaws.
Sorry. I do, but I've been on the tree board since inception, and I
Understood.
want to give someone else an opportunity. Thank you, though.
When do they meet so they know what the responsibility is going to entail?
It looks like the third Wednesday of the month.
In the evening?
Yes, it is an evening meeting. It's usually around 6 or 6:30, I think.
Do we have anybody who wants to throw their hat in the ring? I'm hearing crickets.
Madam President,
Trees are important. Ms.
maybe,
Gaston?
maybe circle back.
We can circle back.
Madam
Okay.
President,
Ms. Gaston.
I would like to nominate myself and Mary Jo Zor for ICRC Commission.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Madam President, I'll second.
So we have a motion from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Zorb to nominate Ms. Zorb and Ms. Gaston as being the ICRC liaison. Roll call.
Miss Sorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes,
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President.
Madam
Whoa,
President.
that was a lot. Hold on. What was,
Madam President.
Ms. Curitan?
Two clarifying questions. One, before we continue, I do not see CIC and I do not see Planning Commission unless I am over, oh, I do see CIC, excuse me.
CIC's there.
I do not see Planning Commission. Does a council member sit on that
Mm.
commission?
Madam President, the boards and commissions are appointed statutory commissions. Some of the members are appointed by the mayor. Some of them have specific membership that's outlined in the charter. So that's not something that would be a council liaison type situation.
Okay, so we do have the CIC. Do I hear any motions?
Madam President,
Ms. Curitan?
what's their meeting day and time?
I do not know. Ms. Zorb?
I can pull up the city's calendar and look.
Yeah, I have it on Thursday, like the third Thursday, but I don't typically attend that, so it's,
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I believe the date and time that's on the city calendar is out of date. I believe that they've changed their meeting time to a different date and time, but I don't remember what that is off the top of my head.
Do we want to round back to this? Once we get more information?
Madam President,
Ms.
yes.
Curitan, yes? Okay. So, all right, then we
Madam
got the NCH School Board. Historically, that has been Ms. Alexander.
Yeah, but now that I'm on public safety,
It's too
Madam
much.
President,
it's at the same time.
Oof.
I heard Ms. Chichester ask for the floor.
Oh,
sorry.
I apologize, Ms. Chichester.
Let's finish this business and then we'll talk about it later. We can
Okay.
go afterwards.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I would like to make a motion to appoint myself to NCH School Board.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Alexander?
I'll second.
So I have a motion from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Alexander to appoint Ms. Gaston as the NCH School Board liaison. Roll call.
Miss Sorb,
yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes,
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President,
Hold on. Ms. Chichester, I was going to round back to you.
thank you. Madam President, I would like to throw my hat in the ring for the Rita delegate.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Latanya Chichester and a second from Mr. Davis to appoint Ms. Chichester to be the Rita delegate. Roll call.
Miss Sorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes,
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President,
Ms. Curitan.
I was actually going to nominate you for the tree board, Ms. Chichester.
I can't make those meetings. Thank you, though.
Okay, so we have NCH Chamber of Commerce left and We Thrive.
Madam
Madam
President.
Whoa. Who did first?
I don't know who went first, but I know we were.
All right, Ms. Gaston?
I was going to say for NCH Chamber of Commerce, I would like to appoint Ms. Kathy Curitan.
Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I'll second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Clear to appoint Ms. Curitan as the NCH Chamber of Commerce representative. Roll call.
Miss Sorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President.
Ms. Chichester?
I would like to also throw my hat in the ring for the We Thrive.
Madam President.
Ms. Gaston?
Oh, never mind. I was going to appoint Miss Clear.
Madam President,
But she's already
I
on.
cannot accept that because I have a different role within that committee already. That is, I cannot accept. I would strongly prefer not to. I think that there should be another person that serves as the council representation on We Thrive. But I appreciate.
No problem.
So we
Madam
have-
President.
Okay, just as a reminder, we do have one person, so Ms. Curitan?
Who's the one person? Ms.
Myself.
Chichester. Thank you. I rescind.
Okay, do we have a second?
Now second.
So we have a motion on the floor from Ms. Chichester and a second on the floor from Mr. Davis to appoint Ms. Chichester to We Thrive delegate.
Madam President, before we take roll, can there be 2 members of council on said ad hoc committees?
Sure, because we're doing it for ICRC.
Madam President, I would like to nominate Mr. Davis to also be a part of We Thrive.
Do I have a second?
Madam
Madam
President.
President.
We all second.
Ms. Zorb?
I'll second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan and a second on the floor from Ms. Zorb to appoint LaTanya Chichester and Brandon Davis as appointees, delegates to We Thrive. Roll call.
Miss Sorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President.
Ms. Clear.
Thank you. I was, I'm thinking about it. I'm willing to throw my name in the hat for CIC.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'm sorry. Yes. Madam President.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Clear and a second from Ms. Zorb to appoint Ms. Clear to the CIC. Roll call.
Miss Sorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President,
Madam President.
Ms. Curitan.
can we have a definition of what the reader delegate does? Does anyone know?
Well, as Ms. Chichester is now the
Yes.
Rita delegate.
Madam President. You're right. So I am the liaison between the city and Rita. I work with the, I'm trying to use titles instead of names, finance director. And we talk about we came with the Rita tax when we brought it to council and we talked about doing those subpoenas. So you work in relation and communication with Rita on that, with the city.
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Curitan.
I, as the Vice Chair of Budget and Finance, I would also like to nominate myself to work along with Ms. Chichester as a reader delegate.
Do we have
Madam
a second?
President,
Ms. Chichester?
I second that. I think that's an awesome idea.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Curitan and a second from Ms. Chichester to work together as being delegates to Rita. Roll call.
Can there be more discussion?
Sure. Discuss.
So I'm confused by Ms. Chichester saying that she is currently the delegate because I was under the impression I was, and that's why I went to
I'm sorry.
a Rita meeting.
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester.
I meant as current Rita, not in the past. I have not been going to those meetings. I've been-
Okay, because I have. So
Yes.
that's why I was really confused by you saying you were the Rita delegate.
I was just speaking in.
Current.
Okay,
Are we good?
yes, thank you. I was just confused as to how I went to those meetings.
Roll call.
Miss Sorb,
Yes.
Miss Gaston,
Yes.
Miss Alexander,
Yes.
Miss Curitan,
Yes.
Miss Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Miss Chichester.
Yes.
And Madam President,
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Now, did we get to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council and Tax Incentive Review?
No, we did not yet.
No, and I don't,
Okay.
is that even listed?
Yes.
And when does
Oh,
it
I
meet?
missed it. Sorry, we were going around it, and I apologize, sir.
Okay. Is anybody else interested in?
You're the first one to mention it.
Okay.
Would you like to,
Yes.
Madam
Hat?
President?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I just wanted to provide some clarification. He asked when do they meet. I believe they meet as needed. I don't know if there's a regular meeting schedule as of yet, because it really depends on if there's any current projects going on that might benefit from that incentive
Right.
program. So that's a little bit more about what that.
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester?
I would also like to be a part of that as well.
Okay. So, Mr. Davis, with it meeting like it is, are you still cool?
Absolutely.
Okay. So do we have a second? Was that a motion? Were you making a motion that you?
Yes.
and
And
then you- Okay, do we have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. I'm trying to, it's a long meeting, guys. So I have a motion on the floor that Mr. Davis and Ms. Chichester
Nope.
will,
Oh,
I'm sorry?
Sorry. Nope, I'm gonna shut up.
Just Mr. Davis first.
Wow. Mr. Davis will be the appointee to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council and Tax Incentive Review Council. Okay? So, and then there's a second from Ms. Clear. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester.
I would also like to throw my hat in the ring for the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council and Tax Incentive Review Council.
Do I have a second?
Madam President?
Ms.
Second.
Alexander.
I'll
Okay.
second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Chichester and a second from Ms. Alexander to appoint Ms. Chichester to the Community Reimbursement Area Housing Council and Tax Incentive Review Council. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston.
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Ms. Curitan.
Yes.
Ms. Clear.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester.
I would also like to attend the OKI meetings too, as well.
Okay, do I have a second?
Madam President?
Ms. Alexander.
I'll second.
So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Chichester and a second from Ms. Alexander to appoint Ms. Chichester to OKI. Roll call.
Madam President,
Ms. Zorb, you first?
I'm not sure we can have two people there.
Yeah, I was about to say the same
Just
thing.
one.
Madam
Oh, it can only
President,
be one.
She can go, but she's the delegate. She's the voting member,
Yes.
and she'll be there in her absence.
Oh, so you would be like the
Alternate.
sub?
Yes.
Alternate.
yes, that's,
So let's rephrase it as being the alternate to OKI. Does that sound fair?
perfect.
Do you want to restate,
Madam President,
Ms. Chichester?
I would like to be the alternate to the OKI meetings.
Ms. Alexander?
Madam President? I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion from Ms. Chichester and a second from Ms. Alexander to appoint Ms. Chichester to be the alternate to OKI. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Madam President,
Ms. Curtin.
I would like to nominate Mary Jo Zorb to be the President Pro Temp.
Didn't we do that?
Already did
Yes.
that.
Did that already.
We did that. I know.
Yep.
But it happened.
We did that before
Good though.
Brandon got here.
Okay, so
Thank you, though.
it was just for hearts and feels there. Okay, do we have anything else that would like to be discussed for the rules of council?
Do we still need?
Madam President,
Ms. Orb?
so I'd like to make sure that, that Ms. Clear has everyone's contact information and that everyone has your contact information. So in the event we do need to send you a text message or whatever in our absence, that everyone has everyone's information. So
Sounds good.
perhaps we could get like a phone directory contact list put
I can do
together
that.
and you distribute that to us,
Yep.
please? Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
Regarding your question, is there anything else in terms of rules of council? I just know I've observed many, many meetings over the years, and one question that always seems to come up that we really don't have a procedure for. I know council does have a tiny little operating budget that is assigned to council to take care of things that council needs. However, there's always some confusion in terms of who exactly, once council decides, yeah, we want to do this, who is the person on council or the role on council that's responsible for coordinating directly with the city administrator to make sure that those purchases get made? That's always a confusing, who's like president of council or clerk of council. Once the council has voted to decide, okay, we want to take care of the wiring here, who actually is the one who coordinates directly with city administrator to execute that which we've approved? Because it took like 6 months to get a bulletin board, even after council had already agreed to do it, because nobody really knew who was allowed to make that happen.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston.
may I make a suggestion? I have two people in mind. It could either be clerk of council, or we can appoint Councilwoman Zorb, who was chair of Budget and Finance. That's the first thing that pops in my mind, to make sure that's funneled through.
Well, I mean, if
properly.
it's going to be in council, it would be a role. Like, this is our purchasing process as council. This is our process.
Madam President.
And it's not there. We don't have to decide this today, but I'm just throwing this out there. That's something that we need to put in here as a procedure. This is how we do this.
Madam President.
Ms. Cureton.
Yeah.
So procedurally, I recommend that we, once council has approved said items to be purchased, that would then funnel communication from our president to our clerk to streamline that communication.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And if it was something that had to do with finances, where we, that would be something where I would talk to maybe the chair of finance and make sure, where it would be something maybe where I would kind of put it all together.
For Madam President,
Ms. Clear.
for example, these chairs. We've talked about these chairs for years, so if that was something that we needed to have budgeted for so that we can expend, that's all I'm talking about, like just
Madam
getting that
President.
documented somewhere in council, here's how that
Yeah.
goes down.
Ms.
Madam
Clear,
President.
where I feel like the bane of my existence in the past few days being in this has been the chairs. One of my shirts got caught on the, actually, yep, this same chair. I think everybody keeps swapping me out for the one with the bad buttons. I know it's one of y'all. But the thing is I was thinking about the same thing, but we got to make sure, like, we don't have something really higher on priority. But chairs, believe me, my heart goes right with you on, because I can't take I don't want to lose many shirts to
For
this.
example, but I just think we need to document something in the
Madam
rules at
President.
some point
Ms.
to
Gaston.
capture that.
To piggyback off of Ms. Clear, I know our finance director is working on streamlining that process for us. There was already a draft that came to us, and myself and Ms. Zorb had a meeting with them, and we touched on it a little bit. So I know that it's coming. It's just not finalized yet.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Ms. Cureton.
I just want to ask our clerk, with your permission, if we can have copies. I believe that the prior council had copies of the Robert's Rules of Order books. I don't know if they had to turn them back in, though. Is that a city property, or was it just given and then it's gone?
Well,
It was given and gone, okay.
So here's one more thing before we move on. We've done a lot of work. We need to have a motion on the floor to accept the rules of council.
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the rules of council.
Well, I had one other thing I wanted to,
Oh, yeah, I was
sorry,
close.
Then,
I am so
was-
sorry.
I was close.
Can we look at 10.5? It's just confusing to me. The second, the beginning of the second paragraph, it says, if quorum is not present at a special or regular scheduled meeting, the chair or other presiding officer may permit persons present to speak on the agenda issues?
Madam President.
And that, I didn't know that you could actually speak.
Ms. Chichester.
I thought if there wasn't quorum, there just wasn't quorum and you're done.
I thought we originally said that the committees would get together and look at rules of committee and then make those changes and come back. are we going
This isn't part
forward?
of the committee part.
This is at the end, this is.
This is a
having to do with
quorum
bulk. We're not talking about committee quorum, we're talking about
Which one did
But
you
we
say?
are.
Madam
10
President.
point-
all quorum.
I'm
All
sorry.
quorum.
Which number? I'm sorry, which reference number?
10.5?
Oh, it is committee quorum. I apologize,
is.
it's been a long meeting.
But it's a general, not a, I thought you were referring to, I'm sorry, Madam President. I thought those addendums you were talking about, like if you wanted to addend something in budget and finance, or if you wanted to specifically addend something in a specific committee, as opposed to this is a council rule for all committees.
Yeah,
We're
no.
still addressing those.
Yes, we're still addressing
Okay.
those. What I'm saying is, like, if you were working with your vice chair on working within your committee
Right,
on what
your
you're doing,
specifics.
you're going to submit that later. This is a specific thing.
Madam President,
Then we
Ms.
need to go
Clear.
back.
the way I read this, if there's no quorum, you can't take any, like, official action in terms of a referral to council floor or report to council on any action taken. But if something needs to be discussed in general, you can still discuss it. You just can't take any, you can't vote.
Madam-
That's how I'm interpreting that.
Madam President,
Yeah, but I,
Ms.
But
Cureton?
whether it's right or wrong or indifferent, that's how I'm reading it.
Ms.
You just
Cureton?
can't take a vote.
I recommend that we strike out the first sentence of 10 point, or rather the second sentence of 10.5. If a quorum is not present at a special or regularly scheduled committee meeting, the chair or other presiding officer may permit persons present to speak on agenda issues. I recommend that we strike that out, that only discussions on city business can occur with quorum.
I agree with that.
I agree with
Because when it comes to council, if there's no quorum, you're done. You're toast. You're done. We go home.
Madam
Madam
President.
President.
I would think it would be the same for committee meetings.
This
Ma-
may be something that we need to refer to
To
our legal
Mr.
counsel, because if this is something that the state of Ohio allows us to do, I mean, I don't know if, if there's no, and at any rate, even if we do modify it, we would want to specify if a quorum is not present, comma, the chair of the committee. We don't want to take out the whole sentence, otherwise it
Okay,
doesn't
are
make any
we
sense.
okay
But
with, since I have another item in here that I'm going to refer to Mr. Dieters, that we also refer this to Mr. Dieters, just to make sure within the realm of the law?
Perfect.
Okay,
Madam
so,
President,
Ms. Cureton.
when you get back with us on this, if you can have Mr. Dieter's reference to specific ORC or whatever rule justifying either way.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Ms. Orb, does that answer, are you good?
It does. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so do I have a motion about accepting the rules? Was that Ms. Gaston?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I have a second?
Madam President,
Ms. Clear?
should we specify to adopt the rules as amended?
Yes.
Yes.
Madam President, before we vote,
Yes, Ms. Curran.
if we can have our clerk, thank you for your notes. If we can have version control on this as well?
Absolutely.
If you can, yeah, thank you. And that's just in line with the very first page. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a second?
Madam
I'll
President?
second.
Oh.
Ms. Cureton, was that you?
That is me.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Gaston and a second from Ms. Cureton to accept rules of council as amended. Roll call?
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Thank you guys for working. This was a very long meeting. I tried to combine, I tried talking faster, but you guys really stuck it
All right,
through.
Madam President,
I was hoping I was gonna get a motion to interrupt me.
Yep.
And what's that motion?
I'd like to make a motion we adjourn.
have a
Miss
second?
Madam President,
Ms. Gaston?
I second.
All right, so I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Zorb and a second from Ms. Gaston to adjourn. Roll call.
Ms. Sorb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander, Ms. Curitan,
Yes.
Ms. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Chichester.
Yes.
Motion passed, 7-0.
Hey, what time is my phone data?
Oh, my God.
Your wish is mine.